Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Talking About Balls. I am Justin George, joined as always by Kyle Price. Kyle, welcome back.
What's up, man? It's been a fun 2 weeks. What's happened? Anything exciting? Any sports games take place?
No, really, it's been pretty dull here in Cleveland. It's been pretty normal. Everything's been, historically speaking, it's been a pretty average Cleveland year where the football team sucks ass, the baseball team's losing in the playoffs, and business as usual. Honestly, I guess we got kind of spoiled over the last couple of years with the Browns being relatively decent to where it is now turned into a complete dumpster fire. I'm miserable personally. I let sports completely dictate my life, and
I feel like I'm back in a comfortable place. Like I'm on that nice, comfortable part of the couch, wrapped in a blanket of despair and sadness. And I feel like I lived here for a long time, so it's kind of just a nice place to call home. We're back to everything sucking. So
it's like you moved away from your childhood home and you somehow got the ability to go back. So you're back in your comfort zone of like, oh, you know what? This feels nice. It's been a while, but it feels nice.
You're always welcome back, right? It's nice. You come home and you're not all the love and support there. So yeah, what the fuck, dude?
I don't even know where to begin. This sucks. We'll get into it. Dave, what's up, man? Thank you for jumping in. Let me go to comments here. I had it on private chat. There we go. Thank you, Dave. Thanks for checking in, brother. Hope you're doing well. I still check in with you guys on Saturday mornings with Unscripted, but baby duty. Last week I was at the zoo. You know how it is. I don't have my mornings available anymore. On the bright side of all things shitty happening in Cleveland, I'm really happy to announce that I will not be able to watch the game on Sunday. And when we first booked this trip, I was pretty bummed about that. And now in hindsight, I'm like, the only thing I'm upset about is I'm going to miss Nick Chubb's return if he starts this week.
I would hope
I don't give a fuck.
I would hope he doesn't start, but we're desperate for running back, so he might be starting.
I mean, Jerome Ford didn't practice, so somebody's got to. I mean, I would think he technically would be the starter because I mean, in football, you can put him in for a play and then take him out. I don't think giving him a handoff in the second quarter is going to help his knee heal because it got an extra 20 minutes. You know what I mean? I feel like if he's healthy enough to play, he's playing on the first snap. He'll just be limited.
Pitch count for sure, I would assume.
100% pitch count. Again, I honestly think it might be truly a snap count, not even like a handoff count. Like he might not be out there for every play because think about it. If he has to pick up a blitzer, you have to plant your leg and block or run out for a catch. Like there's so many different cuts and motions that you do, even if you don't touch the ball. That I think he will definitely be on a very limited snap count. I would assume.
I would assume that our very dedicated and professional medical division of the Browns, who've never had any controversies whatsoever in the past, would not put him back out there if they were not 110% positive he could take hits and make those cuts, right?
At this stage in the season, yes. If we were 5-1 instead of 1-5, I would say maybe they would rush him because they're like. Actually, no, I take that back. If we were 5-1, they'd probably let him rest a little longer because it's going well. If we were like 3-3 or whatever. If we had if we were still trying to hang on to the season, I could see them trying to rush him back because they're like, fuck it, we need to make a push. But at this point, the season's over, so they're going to be smart with him. At 1-5, you're done. Like there's literally nothing to play for. We'll get into it.
The Browns, I called it yesterday. I said the Browns are going to pull the most Brown thing ever right now, and they're gonna go on a 5-game winning streak, and we're gonna be 5-5 before you know it, and then the hope's gonna be back into the Browns again. So get ready for it.
Yeah, I don't know. Tough schedule coming up for sure. We'll get way more into the detail. I have some conspiracy theories I'm going to be laying out for you.
I saw that part. I was curious.
On this current Brown season, I want everyone to know for the record, I did not share any of these thoughts and views with Kyle. These are just crazy thoughts that I have in my head when I sit at home and I try to make reason of what is happening in Cleveland sports. And I have a conspiracy theory for the Browns right now, multiple conspiracy theories. That we'll get into when we talk about the Browns a little bit. But for right now, it's the fun part. It's the fun part of the show where we talk about the good things that happened in our week, or not always good. I guess sometimes we do talk about shit things. Mine, overall, a good week, pretty much. I didn't do much last week. I watched, obviously, the Guardians won on Thursday. David Fry playing hero ball. Then they went on Saturday against Tarek Skubal. We'll talk about that. But Friday night, I went to a concert with friend of show Dave, a.k.a. Sean, a.k.a.
Live? He's alive, huh?
He went out. He went out. I went and picked him up. drove us both to Mahal's in Lakewood. We went and grabbed a couple beers beforehand in the bar there. And then we went in and watched a rock concert, and we had a great time. And the best part is the band that we went and saw. They're called Many Eyes. I've talked about them on the show before. Ex-lead singer of Dave and I are probably our mutual favorite band, Every Time I Die. They broke up like a couple years ago, so the lead singer went out and started a new band with all different people. They're called Many Eyes, and they're fantastic. They are rock, hardcore-ish, if you will. Very similar. If you're familiar with Every Time I Die, they're similar, but not quite as heavy. So they put out an album like a month ago or whatever, and it's a great album. And the other good thing about it is they only have one album, and it's 10 songs. It's about 30 minutes. So we got there and we said, how long is this concert going to be? Because I'm used to going to a show where like the headliner plays for like an hour. I'm like, they only have 30 minutes worth of music, so I really don't know what to expect. Sure shit, they played about 30 minutes worth of music. They played one Nirvana cover, and they filmed a music video during one of their performances, which was really cool to be a part of. We were there for that. And then that was it. The concert ended at like 10:15, 10:30, which for us was ideal. As we're getting older, we were like, fuck yeah, I'm used to concerts ending at like 11:30. You're not home till midnight. For me, I'm like, fuck, I was home by 11. It was great. Took Dave home, went home, and like I said, it was about 11 o'clock when I walked in the door. So it was pretty cool. Got up Saturday. We went to the kids trick-or-treating event at the zoo. Teddy dressed up as a little mouse.
Nice.
Her cousin Kira dressed up as Cheese. So she was a mouse. She was Cheese. Did that for a few hours. Got home just in time for the Guardians game to start at 1 o'clock. Watched most of that game as soon as Lane Thomas hit the grand slam, and I kind of had a very confident feeling that the game was in good hands. Tara and I left for Cedar Point. And we went to Hollow Weekends, which was cool. The weather was decent. Actually, surprisingly, at times it was like kind of warm. I was expecting it to be way colder, but it was a very comfortable night. However, it was fucking packed. We waited in line when we first got there. We walked all the way to the back because my number one thing is this drink called the Gunslinger that you get heading towards the Frontierland or whatever the fuck it's called, like the western part. There's a little saloon-looking place, and they have a drink called the Gunslinger. It's basically a Long Island iced tea. It's got everything. It has vodka. It has gin. It's got tequila. It's got everything. And then they throw some cranberry juice in there. It's delicious. I love it. It's my go-to drink every time I go there. It's expensive. It's like fucking $13 or $14, but it's Cedar Point. What do you expect? So I got there immediately, grabbed a Gunslinger. I also started the day off with, I brought some gummies. I love taking edibles and then walking around Hollow Weekends for hours. It's very fun. And so we did that, had some fun, waited in line for the Maverick because we were like, okay, it's crazy packed. Every ride is basically an hour and a half to 2 hours long. By the time we got there, it was like 5 or 6 o'clock. So we were like, realistically, we're not staying here till midnight. So let's try to ride 2 or 3 rides because that's how much time we have. So we wait in line for the Maverick. We wait for like an hour. Finally, they're making announcements. We're not sure how long it's going to take. The ride's down. There's mechanical issues. Everyone starts leaving the line. So like, all right, cool. We fucking left, tried a different ride. Grabbed some dinner really quick, walked over to Steel Vengeance. Steel Vengeance is super strict. You have to go pay for a locker. You can't bring anything on the ride with you at all. I wear a fanny pack when I go to Cedar Point, so I don't lose anything, which I could tuck under my sweater, but they don't even let you take like a hat. Like they don't let you bring anything. It's ridiculous. They have metal detectors. It's fucking wild. So that's one ride that I've actually never gotten a chance to ride because of how strict they are. So we tried that, but again, couldn't get through the metal detector even with hiding our shit. Then we went over to, it's a newer one. They just made it like a year or 2 ago. It's called like the Mousetrap or something like that. We were going to try that, but the line for that also was like an hour and a half. And I told Tara, I'm like, honestly, this one's not good enough to wait that long. So then we went over to Pipe Scream, it's called, instead of Pipe Dream.
Never heard of that.
Basically, I think it's new. So it's basically like, its trajectory is like the ocean ride or whatever, like where it goes back and forth, like a roller coaster thing, and it's rotating the entire time. So you go up a hill and then down and then up a ramp that stops and then back up a hill, and the whole time the whole cart's spinning this way. So you're spinning around and you're flying up and down this fucking thing and going up, and like it's like a half pipe for skateboarding, but in the middle there's bumps and you're just rotating the whole time. That was pretty cool.
Sounds like a blast.
Yeah, that was a cool one. That one, truthfully, was the only ride we had the chance to ride because that one took like an hour. Then we walked over to the Gemini because we were like, okay, the Gemini line doesn't look that bad. It says 45 minutes. We're like, we'll do that. get in line. We're waiting for a couple minutes. Boom. Everyone starts leaving the line. We're like, what the fuck? And then they announce mechanical issues. The ride's down. Like, what the fuck, dude? So we had to leave that one. Steve, what's up, dude? Steve's checking in. He's just as bummed as anybody, I'm sure, about the state of Cleveland sports. But yeah, so Pipe Scream was truly the only ride we had a chance to get on because we had to leave by like 10 o'clock. Oh, you were? I thought you guys said you were going on a different day. I don't remember. Because Tara and I had this day planned for a while. I thought we talked about it. I thought you guys were going on like Friday or something like that. Either way, though, it was fucking jam-packed. And like we didn't even have to pull, like it was so crowded we didn't even have to go through the gates at parking. They pulled us off into a side lot before we even got to the entrance. That's how fucking packed it was. Oh, you went both days? No shit. Yeah, Saturday was nuts. Like I literally couldn't believe how crowded it was. We had to park basically in the very end of the parking lot, so I got my steps in at least. Got to ride one ride because everything was breaking down and it was so crowded. Walked through some of the haunt areas, which was cool. One of my favorite parts, grabbing a gunslinger, walking through some of the scary shit. And then we went home.
I was say, how was the scary stuff?
It was cool. We don't do the actual haunted houses because same thing. They're like 3-hour waits. So we walk through the scare zones or whatever they're called. So we walk through those. They're cool. Nothing really crazy. They have the clown zone.
How many haunted houses do they have there?
I think like 4 or 5, if I'm not mistaken.
Oh, really?
I know they have corn stalkers. They always have the one that's in the back by the big swing. I forgot what that one's called. Then they had one up in the front over by what's it called? Val Raven kind of area. I forgot all of them. I think they have 4 or 5, if I'm not mistaken. But yeah, then they have designated sections where they tell you like in advance, they're like, if you have little kids or whatever, if you don't like being scared, don't come this way because they have people they have fog going. So it's kind of like a makeshift haunted house. So we walked through those. It was cool. Had a good time. 2 hours for Steel Vengeance. Yeah, dude, I've never had a chance to ride that. Every time I go, they want you to go through the fucking metal detector and you have to hide all your shit and buy a locker. And that's just too much work for me.
Just go naked next time. You don't have to worry about it then.
Well, what my goal is next time we go, we'll just have to do it like solo, which is fine. I assume next time we go to Cedar Point, Teddy will be old enough. Maybe we'll take her. And it broke down 20 minutes after we got off. Damn, dude, everything was breaking down. I got out of 2 lines because shit was breaking down. But next time if we go, excuse me, I'll just give Teddy to Tara. I'll give her my shit, go ride the ride, come back, switch.
Yeah.
And then we can both say we at least got to ride it.
It's the end of the season. Like all those rides are probably breaking down because they have maintenance a lot this year. And
there were some weather issues. I'm excited, dude. Steel Vengeance looks awesome. I've just never had a chance to go. The other thing too is there was like a huge storm coming in. So we were tracking the radar and it was supposed to like start storming at like 9 or 10 o'clock. So that's why we were like, okay, we want to get out of here by this time. And sure enough, I guess it fucking poured at Cedar Point. So we got out of there at a really good time. We didn't get any rain at all when we were there. But that was pretty much it. That was my week. Then, Sunday I got up and I watched football, unfortunately. And then I watched a little playoff baseball a couple times this week. And here we are. So that's it for my week that was. How have you been? You've been away for 2 weeks. Oh, by the way, this episode is brought to you unofficially by what I call a beery Mary. I take Bloody Mary mix and then I dump a beer on top of it.
Is that an official actual drink? I've actually never heard of that before.
So I heard it from listening to the guys from Workaholics. They do a podcast.
Yeah.
And the one guy, Adam, if you're familiar with Workaholics, he was talking about it before, and he said that his go-to like post-hangover drink when you first wake up in the morning is you just pour a beer on some Bloody Mary mix. And I was like, that kind of sounds good. I want to try it. And I like Bloody Marys a lot. So I was like, fuck it. I love it.
Really?
So I buy the Zing Zang Bloody Mary mix, pour like, I don't know, that much into your cup, and then just dump a Bud Light on top of it.
So what's the beer?
Busch Light, whatever.
A Busch Light, Bud Light beer. Interesting.
That's what I go with. Adam, what's up, dude?
What's up, Adam? Honestly, the last 2 weeks for me have been just kind of filled with work and bowling, and that's basically it. We're trying to not do much of anything. We have Vegas coming up in 20 days. So we're trying to put all our money to the side to kind of have that because we're going to be there for November 9th through the 14th, 15th. So we're going to be there like 5-6 days, which is a long time for Vegas.
That's a long time in Vegas.
Yeah. So we got some stuff planned already around what we're going to do there, but we're just trying to put money to the side. So I mean, I bowled last week before. We had a last MGA tournament last Saturday out at Fowler's Mill out in fuck if I know, it's an hour and 5-10 minutes away from here, but
last one of the season, huh?
Yeah, last one of the season, and it's horrible. I don't know if you ever golfed on what punch greens are. You know how they punch the greens, aerate them, and then they cover them in sand.
Oh yeah,
and then they kind of brush them off. Well, putting on that shit, it's like playing Plinko, like the Price is Right Plinko. You get a nice read on a ball and you putt it, and the ball does like a little zigzag till it gets to where it has to go sometimes. So I just hate playing on them. So it made for the day to be kind of miserable. Luckily, the people I golfed with were fun, so it was a good time. But no, Steve, we are going to be there before the F1. I believe it's a week before. I'm going there for the MGA, the golf thing. So we're golfing on the 10th and 11th, I think. And then we fly back on the 14th. So we always go in a week before, which thank God, because they shut down the strip basically for the F1. But no, other than that, man, I've honestly done nothing. We've kind of been homebodies the last 2 weeks. Got Halloween decorations up. Got our big old 12-foot witch in the front yard. Got a couple other witches to go along with it. Almost pulled the trigger on a new 10-foot witch that I saw at Menards 2 weeks ago. It's like $300. I'm like, I don't know. I'd rather spend the money on Christmas because I have a huge 12-foot Santa. So I think I want to get something like a 12-foot I don't know, snowman or something like that. But yeah, I don't know. I'm curious though what we want to do with it. But I almost pulled the trigger. But right now our house is decorated, lights on. We got purple lights up at the house. We got orange lights in the front yard. So it looks kind of cool. Then we have our neighbor. I'll have to take a picture of it. Our neighbor has corn stalks in his entire front yard, like literally rows of corn stalks just posted into the ground. He's got skeletons attached to these corn stalks. He's got little mini skeletons in between. He's got the 2 10-foot skeletons, the one with the jack-o'-lantern and the normal one from a couple years ago. He's got a 12-foot Grim Reaper. So it looks cool, but here's the shit part. Backing out of my driveway, not trying to get hit, I can't see shit. So I have to rely on the technology in my car sometimes for the alarms to go off in case something's coming. So I slowly back out. Luckily, when I leave in the morning, it's really nothing other than buses that might go by, but still, you can't see anything. My other neighbor texted me the other day. He's like, how do you pull out of there? And I texted back. I said, a hope and a prayer, basically.
You're going to start backing in.
Yeah. I joked around the other day. I told him, I said, does your house insurance cover car accidents if you caused it with all this blockage on your front yard? But he always goes all out, which is cool. So we have a lot of cars that slowly drive by our house every time there's Halloween decorations up, because we do ours and we do pretty well, right? But he goes balls to the wall. Like he has the entire, you've been to my house, but the guy, if you're looking at my house to the left, he has that entire,
technically.
Yeah, so he has that entire big yard, and there's all those trees. And right now he's got ghouls and goblins attached to the trees and skeletons. So that entire corner driving up, it's all lit up Halloween stuff, so it's kind of cool. But other than that, man, not much else. Just working a lot. I'm covering for my boss this week, so a lot more responsibility. I was out of town 2 weeks ago when I was on the podcast, traveling around Pennsylvania. But yeah, no, Steve, that's one thing I'm not looking forward to is that we got a party bus Saturday night. We're going to be in Vegas. Luckily, we don't have to worry about driving around, but we'll be going in between places on the strip. But yeah, that entire place is always under construction. It's horrible.
Yeah, it's a shit show.
But no, that's it. I mean, it's pretty much catches you up, and just kind of nice not doing much, to be honest, saving money, not going out all the time. But I'm getting old too. Can't stay out too late, man. I value my sleep time now.
I feel that was truly Dave and myself at the concert. We were both like, I looked at him, and when the lead singer was like, "All right, we got one more for you," we looked at each other, and I was like, hell yeah, they're not bad. We're getting out of here early. We both looked at our watches, and we're old now, so I've never been a fan of going in the pit or whatever per se. I used to, and when I was until I turned early 20s, I stopped. I was like, I'm too tired. I just want to enjoy the show.
Your body's not made for it, man.
I've left concerts just soaked in sweat. Some of it mine, some of it strangers. It's just not that fun to be that dirty at a hot, tight venue like that. So for me, I just stand in the back. I'm 6'4". I can see over everybody. I even asked Dave while we were there. I'm always like, hey, can you see? Do you want to switch spots? Do you want to move? It's no problem for me. And he's always like, no, I'm good. So
how many people were there for the concert? Pretty good turnout.
Yeah, probably a couple hundred. It's a small little venue in Mahal's. I don't know if you've ever been.
No.
So Mahal's is a really, really interesting building. So it's called Mahal's 20 Lanes. It's called that because they have bowling lanes. It's a bowling alley. But you walk in the front door and there is a spot for like bowling rental shit. But then also you go in this one room and there's a bar/restaurant. You go in another door and it's the music venue. Then you can go upstairs and there's a venue called the Roxy, I believe, which is a smaller music venue. Then they have a basement that also can have live music, and it's very small but like fun. It's just a cool ass place. It's in Lakewood, so it tells you everything you need to know. But yeah, no, they had a couple hundred people probably. Again, not a very big room at all, so it was pretty full just based on the amount of people. They put on a really good show. It's a very intimate venue. They don't have bouncers or anything like that. It's literally just the stage is like a foot off the ground, and to get to it, like you have to walk through the crowd. So like there's no like ducking out off the stage. Like when you're done with your set, you just walk off the steps right into the crowd with everybody to get to the quote unquote green room or whatever, because just a small little fun place. I really like when bands I like perform there. That's a spot that I try not to miss. So we had a really good time. That was fun. And then
yeah, I'm looking at photos now. I've driven by this place multiple times. I've just never been inside of it.
Yeah, it's really cool. Like I said, whenever there's a concert, I like it. They have 16-ounce PBRs are typically like $4, which for a concert, that's not bad at all. So just drink a few.
Love language right there. Can't go wrong with the PBR.
Initially, I ordered a Rolling Rock because I saw they had Rolling Rock, and it was only a 12-ounce. So I got it. I drank it, and I'm like, all right, cool. And then I go up to the bar again, and I look, and I'm like, let me see the beer menu. And I see the 12-ounce Rolling Rock is $3. A 16-ounce PBR is $4. I'm like, well, I'm going to go with the PBR every time. I'll gladly pay that extra $1 to get more ounces.
They have that. They have the deal in Vegas because we're staying down on Fremont Street. We're actually at the Golden Nugget, but at the Downtown Grand, they have every day from I think noon until 8 the $2 PBR and a hot dog. So you get a hot dog and a 12-ounce PBR for $2. You can't fucking beat that.
That's not bad. Try to see how many hot dogs you can eat.
In one, depending on how much I drank during the day, that might not be a hard.
15 hot dogs. That would be impressive.
Just sitting there chugging beer, dipping the hot dog into the fucking PBR and just drinking everything.
Just passed out. Everyone's like, "Oh my god, how much you have to drink?" And they're like, "Nothing. It's 15 hot dogs. Did him." All right. Well, that's it. I mean, I'll say this at the end. I'll say it now too. Next week we will not have an episode. I'm assuming you're going to be bowling. Otherwise,
sure.
you're welcome to do a solo show if you want. But I'll be in Punta Cana, and the last thing I want to even think about are sports. So I will be gone. I leave Sunday. I get back next Saturday. So we'll have a show the week after, but nothing next week. Did I interrupt you? Were you saying something?
No,
I'm sorry.
I was looking at the schedule coming up here. There might be a time where I miss 2 weeks in a row because of Vegas, the 1 week. I don't know. We'll have to see how it works out. I might be able to get out for 1 week of bowling, but we'll figure it out when we get there. I'm not worried about it right now.
Okay. All right. Let's get.
Shall we torture ourselves here? Let's get into it.
Yeah. Rinse and repeat. The Cleveland Guardians are in the playoffs, and they are just underperforming against the New York Yankees. Stop if you've ever heard this before. Reality is set in for me. I have given up. The season is lost. I truly have no interest in the game tomorrow. Like, I'll have it on in the background, but I'm not dedicating my night to the game tomorrow. And then I believe game 4 is Saturday. The way this is looking, if I'm being honest, not to be too depressing, but this looks like a 4-game sweep. Like, there's no chance the Guardians are going to win a game. The reason I called this episode The Lob, it is not technically the lob. It is for the left on base, because that is what is absolutely fucking killing this Guardians team. It hurt them against the Tigers. It was truly almost cost them the season there. And then now you get to New York. They're doing the same fucking thing. I mean, right off the top of my head yesterday, you had bases loaded, 1 out. David Fry comes up, pinch hit situation, swings at the first pitch, tries to crush it, and pops it up to third base out of bounds or in foul territory. And then the next batter, I think, was I don't remember who came up next. Brian Rocchio, and I think he struck out or something. Like, either way, we got 1 run or something. I forgot what happened, but in a huge situation, bases loaded, 1 out. David Fry pops up to third. Like, it's shit like that that's just crucial. Jose Ramirez had a couple big at-bats in this series where there were runners in scoring position, and he wasn't able to capitalize. Yes, he had that meaningless solo home run. I'll say that. Cool. Looks good on a stat sheet, but it went from 6-2 to 6-3. Meant nothing. The game was a blowout. It was over. The only thing we can hope is that it gave him a little confidence. moving forward. Maybe he'll be on fire because he hit that home run. I'm not holding my breath. Then on the flip side, you have Josh Naylor, who just swings at everything. Had some good hits last night. Had a couple base hits.
Kept his helmet on a couple times too. Good for that
Which
guy.
I'm so like, the fact that he was playing so fucking poorly is driving me bananas watching that helmet fall off. Like, dude, just get a haircut at this point. Yeah. It's annoying. You're trying to grow this afro and your helmet keeps falling off every time you swing. And every time you swing, you're trying to kill it. You're trying to swing for the fucking fences. He has looked like he has put on a lot of weight, gotten himself out of shape over the last couple of years.
I saw a photo yesterday. Someone took a picture of Naylor back in, like, I think 2 years ago. And they're like, who's this guy? And the guy's like, that's Naylor before 1,500 tacos.
My buddy texts me, who's not a big baseball guy, and he was just being a dick, and he just goes, "Is Josh Naylor pregnant?" Like, it's a fair question.
Why? I mean, somebody last night at the bowling alley is like, "What? Who hit the ball first? Was it his stomach or the bat?" Because he got jammed, and like when he swung the bat around, it almost looked like it hit his stomach too. It's just, I don't know what's going on with that dude, man. Like, get to the gym, and then you see that photo after they won the ALDS of him just fucking drinking like 5 Budweisers, and like he looks like a guy who just sits in the trailer park and just gets drunk all day and goes out there and swings the bat sometimes, you know.
And what's crazy is, I mean, he had a really good season, so I'm not taking anything away from him as a player. He's been a ghost in the playoffs, but he had a really good regular season. He is, I think, going to be a free agent, if I'm not mistaken.
Get rid of him.
So he's a guy that, I mean, he's a goner. The Guardians won't pay him what he's going to get somewhere else. I mean, he played well enough to get a big contract. Guardians are not going to pay him. Guardians will just go with Kyle Manzardo at first base next year. I don't want to get too far ahead of ourselves because the season isn't officially over yet, but there are some interesting changes that will be made next year. I think you can go with Quan in left. You'll go with Lane Thomas in center. Chase DeLautner should be your everyday right fielder. He'll get called up next year, you assume. Then you can go with Jose Ramirez at third. This is where it gets interesting here because Benzana down in AA, our number 1 pick, he's a guy who could probably get called up sooner rather than later. And you do have Andres Jimenez, you do have Brian Rocchio. Both are likely going to win Gold Gloves, which is great. Brian
Rocchio's had hell of a year. Jesus, man.
Except for, that drop against in the first inning was huge. Yeah. And the fucked up thing about baseball is you can overcome that in other sports. So if you turn it over in basketball, they go down and score. You can make up for that. You can have a good defensive stop. You can hit a 3. You can score twice, whatever. You can make up those points easily. Football, same thing. You fumble it. Okay, let's get a turnover or a stop here, and then I'll score next time. You can make up for mistakes like that. In baseball, they are so much more of a domino effect, of a butterfly effect, if you will. So Rocchio drops that ball. Not only does it score a run, keeps the inning going, boosts up Tanner Bibee's pitch count, which in the playoffs, you're already on very limited pitch counts. And if things start going south, it's really bad. So right away in the first inning, Bibee's pitch count was, I believe someone posted that because of that drop, it cost Bibee an extra 8 pitches, which is a lot. That's almost a full inning for some. Cost him 8 pitches. It got them, obviously the run scored, got some guys to bat. It got more people to see Bibee, which in the playoffs, you maybe want your starter, if they're not a true ace, to see the lineup twice. That got more at bats, more pitches. That was a huge domino effect. It worked out kind of because they did pull him in the second inning for Cade Smith, and most of the bullpen came in and shut shit down except for Hunter Gaddis, who gave up that 2-run jack to Aaron Judge, which put the game out of reach. It was 4-3 and or 4-2, whatever. And then that ended it. That put the game out of reach for good. I'll be honest, I turned the game off after Judge hit that home run. I was like, there's no chance we're coming back. So I was laying in bed, got the alert that the game ended, saw that we had an extra run, and I went, how the fuck did we score that? And that's when I saw Jose hit a home run. I didn't see it live or anything. I turned it off. I'm done torturing myself with Cleveland sports. I need to accept the fact that this is just who we are. The Dolans aren't going to spend money. We don't have a true ace of a pitcher. Tanner Bibee is maybe a 3, your third starter at best.
And we're treating him as the ace right now. We're treating him as the ace.
He's unfortunately our ace because obviously Shane Bieber got hurt. Going into the season, you had Logan Allen, who everyone thought was going to be good. We thought this lineup was going to be Ben Lively, Logan Allen, fucking Shane Bieber. I don't know if I said his name already, Tanner Bibee, Tristan McKenzie. You have all these guys that we were like, holy shit, we're loaded at pitcher. and then you lose Shane Bieber after 2 starts for the year, Tommy John surgery. Tristan McKenzie just was obviously playing injured and then couldn't figure his shit out. So who knows what's going on with him? Logan Allen, same thing. Logan Allen just couldn't figure his shit out. The interesting thing, if I remember correctly, I think Logan Allen got called up for 1 game and he pitched really, really well after he had been sent down already. And then they sent him right back and he never came back up again for the rest of the season.
Didn't they just bring him back up because Cobb's now off the roster? Who did they call up?
That was Ben Lively.
Oh, Lively. That's right. Okay.
Yeah, so they brought up Ben Lively because Alex Cobb is out with a sore back or whatever the fuck.
Yeah.
But then that's the other thing too, is you go to the trade deadline. Lane Thomas, I'm sorry. Lane Thomas has been great. He hit that clutch home run against the Tigers. He was killing it against the Tigers. He's been great. Then on the flip side, you have Alex Cobb. Alex Cobb they traded for, knowing he was injured, thinking, okay, he's going to get healthy just in time for the playoffs. Perfect addition. He never really got healthy. Then we get to the playoffs, and he did not look very good. So, looked good against the Tigers, and then went against the Yankees, and clearly wasn't right, had to come out of the game, and they took him off the ALCS roster. So he is done, more than likely, forever as a Cleveland Guardian. It was brief, but that was their big move. They traded for Cobb, and then, yeah, Matt Boyd's good, but he's a guy that I don't really trust because of that injury. He's coming off a really bad Tommy John surgery. Boyd's good. I don't mind him. But again, I'm just looking at like what we had in the season when it started. You had what we thought was going to be a stud pitching staff, and it has just not been that way. Our starting pitching is our weakest link. It's our bullpen that keeps us in games. And
if we get through 3 innings, that's our goal, right? Is to get through 3 innings, maybe 4, and then you just throw it over to the bullpen. But we're riding those rookies hard, like in that bullpen right now. I mean, and
yeah,
God, they're young.
Game 1 was I mean, it is what it is. We had no chance. Game 2, they made it a little closer. But the scheduling from MLB didn't do us any favors either because you're going back to back. So that really fucked what we could do. So when we went to the bullpen, as you saw in Game 1, we had to go to a bunch of guys who don't normally pitch that often. Lane Thomas away from my division. Yeah, no, we're happy to have him. We love having Lane Thomas here in Cleveland. He was a guy that we got, and I was like, okay, that's a good pickup. It's a Guardians type move. He's a guy who's not making a ton of money, but he's a good fundamental player, and he's turned into a stud.
He'll be gone in a couple of years because we can't pay him. So it's, typical.
We'll trade him away for some future prospects soon. That'll be cool. Yeah, no, it's unfortunate. I just accepted the fact that, as I watch the game, it literally looks like 2 different leagues. It looks like major league players playing against minor league players when the Guardians are facing the Yankees.
Some of the managerial calls too that are being called. I mean, you can tell he's a rookie.
Stephen Vogt in Game 1, when he went to Joey Cantillo in the most pressure-packed situation of his young career in Yankee Stadium.
Mind-boggling.
When Joey Cantillo has been up and down in the majors and minors because he is a fringe major league pitcher right now. That could change. I'm not discrediting the kid's career forever. It's just as of right now, he is a fringe major league player.
Yep.
They've sent him down a couple times. He's been called up a couple times, whatever. He was supposed to be an innings-eating bullpen guy. That's it. Which is why Stephen Vogt brought him in. However, Stephen Vogt should have went with a veteran bullpen arm. Not even a veteran. You could have went with a younger guy because, we do have some young guys in the bullpen, but a more reliable arm. Go with a guy who's just going to get you out of that fucking jam. Don't go for a kid who the last time he pitched in Yankee Stadium got his fucking breakfast money stolen from the Yankees. He got embarrassed, got sent down to the minors, gets called back up, pressure situation, Game 1 of the ALCS, and you go, you're taking the rock here, kid.
That kid
he goes up there and throws 4 fucking wild pitches. He had no command, had no idea what he was doing, and it cost us the game. We gave up?
We gave up 3 runs on wild pitches alone in that inning, I think.
If you would have told me going into that game that we were only going to give up 2 home runs and they were going to be solo, a Soto and Giancarlo Stanton, 2 solo home runs, and a sac fly to Aaron Judge, I'd have been like, fuck it. I'll take that all day. Guardians are winning that game. That means we shut the rest of those motherfuckers down. Nope, Joey Cantillo had other plans. And to me, that's what cost us the game. That move right there from Stephen Vogt sucked all the energy out of that team. And I've noticed it happened in the Tiger series. The Guardians play as well as Vogt manages, if that makes sense. They read his vibe. When he's panicking, they panic and don't play well. and he's been outmanaged in just about every game of the playoffs so far. We are lucky to have beaten the Tigers.
It sucks because you have to give him a slack with it being his first year actually managing, right? Young guy comes in, managing, runs his team to the ALCS. Has he made a lot of questionable calls this year? Absolutely. And I agree with you. I think you're right. I mean, they do mirror what he does and doesn't do, right? I get that, I just hope he gets his shit together, gets a day off, gets his thoughts collected, comes out tomorrow, manages a good game, and this team shows up. I'm with you, though. I don't see us making a 4-win streak here to take the series. I just don't see it, unfortunately.
No, I mean, the key to beating the Yankees, and I know it's easier said than done, they were the number 1 seed. They're one of the best teams in baseball. So again, I say this lightly, but one of the keys to beating the Yankees, you have to get around Soto and Judge. Those are your 2 biggest threats. Easier said than done. Judge does not hit the ball well if you throw it low. So if you throw him low breaking balls, that's his weakness. He can still hit it. I'm not saying it's like why don't they just do it every time?
No, he'll still put it out. He struggles with for sure. Yeah.
And I feel like the Guardians are still attacking him normally. I mean, the home run he hit off Hunter Gaddis yesterday was a fucking high fastball. Like, why are you doing that? This is a guy who crushes those kinds of pitches. Giancarlo Stanton's crushing it. Juan Soto had the home run in game 1, which was, of course, because it's the fucking Yankees. They announced after the home run happened that ball would have gone out in only one major league park in baseball, and that was New York. Every other park, that's a pop-up.
It didn't help that wind was also pushing everything out, too. That was a pretty windy game.
Yeah, no, for sure. I mean, that's the other funny thing, too, and that's what's irritating me more than anything is I get it. We're the little brother. We're the Guardians. We have no money. We are the David versus Goliath for the Yankees. It's bad enough that we know that as Guardians fans, we understand our situation, our low payroll, how, we have no business being here type shit. The fact that there's just blatant biasm from A, TBS, B, Major League.com's or Major League Baseball's Twitter account. I don't know if you've seen it, but so during the game, there will be a routine pop-up from Judge. He'll hit it. It'll look like a hard hit ball, but it's a pop-up. But of course, they're like, Judge with a swing. And then Kwan catches it, and they just go, and Stephen Kwan with the catch. Meanwhile, we hit a pop-up that Judge misreads and has to chase after and catch it, but it's still kind of a routine play. They're like, what a play by Judge. He covered so much ground. Like, they want to just fucking suck him off every time he does anything. And then the Major League Baseball Twitter account, people have screenshot their tweets. They literally will tweet a Yankees home run, all caps, exclamation points, fucking so excited. Guardians home runs, they just go, Brian Rocchio with a home run in the 6th inning. But for Judge or Soto, they're like, Soto with a blast to put the Yankees on the board, and all exclamation points and hashtags, and Judge yesterday too.
It makes me laugh because you have MLB TV, right, where you have on your panel Alex Rodriguez and Derek Jeter, right? And then, of course, they have that whole sound bit of where they're like, yeah, they got the easiest path to the World Series this year. They just being honest, they're going against the Guardians. And if they could have had Detroit or the Guardians, either way, the Yankees have the easiest path to the World Series they've ever had in the last couple of years. It's like you put these guys on a panel and you're asking their opinion. They're 2 Yankees, right? They're 2 lifelong Yankees, right? And it's like, what else are they going to say? And this bullshit. No one's rooting for Cleveland. I mean, sorry, a lot of people are rooting for Cleveland, but nobody publicly in the media is out there saying, the Guardians got a chance. It is cringe TV to watch right now. And
don't get me wrong, we understand the discrepancies in the teams. However, the Guardians were only out of the 1 seed by a couple of games. It's not like the Guardians
had the 1 seed for a while. We had that one seed for a while, right? And then we back and forth.
They did. They were the best team overall in baseball for a while. Yeah. And the fact that they're facing the Yankees, and again, they were only out of first place. Guardians were second place. They act like they're facing the last wild card team that snuck into the playoffs with 80 wins, barely not even a 500 team.
Right.
The Guardians were a 90-plus win team. The Guardians were neck and neck with the Yankees record-wise. For everyone to just go, yeah, easiest path. How the fuck could you say that? We're just as good record-wise, but because everyone just understands that we don't have the power that they have. We don't have the pitching that they have.
People have to Google and people on our team. I get it. They have to look up and who the fuck is that again? I mean, you look at it though, we have a lot of, and the Yankees do too, but we have a lot of dead spots in the lineup. Dude, Austin Hedges, What the
Our
fuck? man?
catcher situation is an automatic out. And yeah, thank you, George. I got the old school hat on here. I have this is World Series 2016 hat against the Cubs. We of course lost.
What a time to be alive during that.
Bitter memories there, but I do have this hat that I love. I have this one, and I have the playoff patch on the side, also the same Chief Wahoo hat.
Yeah, that catcher situation is something that needs addressed badly going into the offseason, because that is an automatic out. When they get up in the lineup, like we had Hedges up last night, bases loaded. I didn't even think I knew we knew it was going to happen.
No, it was done. Yeah, there was no chance. And that's the other thing too. Vogt really fucked up. So what he should have done, in my opinion, well, I guess in this situation you were kind of fucked if you did either way. He had David Fry pinch hit. David Fry pinch hit for Bo Naylor, popped up to third. One swing, one out, and David Fry has a hurt elbow, so he cannot catch. David Fry could actually be a catcher if healthy, but David Fry can't catch right now. So as soon as he came in, you knew right there Austin Hedges had to come into the game for the rest of the game. And then, the fact that in these high-pressure situations, they purposely walk people. They walked Andres Jimenez. They're like, yeah, you just go to first. We're just going to face Hedges because we know this dude has no chance.
Exactly. The respect, right? Because we all know it's going to happen. I mean, it's a smart move by them.
The funny thing is Andres Jimenez is batting like fucking 150. Not even. I take that back. He's maybe batting like 100 in the playoffs. He has
a better chance to hit the ball than
exactly. That's the thing. Aaron Boone's like, you know what? He's not very good at the plate, but you're even worse. I'd rather face you.
And
the Yankees don't have that. The Yankees have somebody that can hit at every spot in their lineup, and that's the thing. Is I was alluding to earlier. Easier said than done. You want to avoid Soto and Judge, which the Guardians have done a pretty good job against those guys so far. Judge has a couple sac flies, hit the one home run yesterday. I get it. It's only 2 games, small sample size. Soto has the home run. Soto's a great baseball player. Soto's the kind of guy that, in my opinion, I'd walk him every time if you're the Guardians. Just fucking walk him. But the problem is we're getting to him while there's already guys on base. Most of the time, the games have started off. I think both games where the leadoff hitter for them gets a fucking base hit.
They start so hot. Yeah, it's crazy.
So then you have to pitch to these guys, and that's where you get into trouble. And then when you forget how to catch the ball at shortstop, like Brian Rocchio did yesterday, you really set the team back. So it's really tough. It's hard to be a Guardians fan to sit here and realize that they're just not spending money. We have a really good team. We have a gritty team. We have what looks like a good manager for many, many years to come. Stephen Vogt's young. Managerial speaking, but the Dolans aren't going to put any money into this team, and we know that. So it's just more so like, okay, cool. We had a really good year. Now, who can we call up, or who can we get for super cheap to come to the team next year? Because they're not spending any money on anybody good. Or I take that back, not good, but anybody great. I guess I could just call it that. We'll get some good players. We're not going to get great players.
We're not going to get that household name guy that's like, oh, that guy.
No, they did it once in 2017. They did Edwin Encarnacion, and that was the last time the Dolans are going to spend that kind of money because it did not get them a World Series. And I guarantee they were like, "Fuck that! Guys have just gotten more expensive." I don't know. It's depressing. I hate it. Just knowing it's rinse and repeat every fucking year for Cleveland sports. Thank God we have that 2016 championship.
When's that minority money kick in that we can spend some extra moolah? Is that next year?
Oh, the minority owner for the team?
Yeah.
I don't know. I forgot when he starts. And then they technically, they didn't announce it officially, but the Guardians will be leaving Bally Sports. And I believe they're going to be going to Amazon Prime of some aspect.
Oh, we'll get to watch more games. Thank God.
Which is good because, I don't have Bally's. I have YouTube TV, so I don't have Bally Sports. But on the flip side, though, this means I was talking to Triple G Guardian guy Greg, and he said what this means is the Dolans can now cry poor, and they can now say, well, we're not getting this money from the channel, the TV channel anymore, so we can't afford these free agents. We don't have the income. So it's a double-edged sword. The Dolans are going to keep just printing money for their future great-great-great-great-great-grandchildren to all be billionaires, and the Guardians team is going to continue to have one of the lowest payrolls in baseball. Meanwhile, while being a pretty decent team, and what really fucking sucks this year is the Tigers have fast-tracked their rebuild period. The Tigers weren't supposed to be that good this year. They snuck into the playoffs. They look like a team that could have this type of success next year too, which is scary. Then you have the Royals, who with Bobby Witt Jr., with Vinny Pasquantino, you have all these really good players. They're going to be a good team. The Royals had one of the best pitching staffs in all of baseball last year. They're going to be one of the better teams in baseball for years to come, presumably. The Twins always are competitive. They were there until the last week of the season. And you have the Guardians who snuck by everybody who, did they get lucky? Is this sustainable for the future? I really don't know because our pitching staff is so fucked up right now. And then you have the White Sox who, I'm not worried about them for the next decade. But this division is not getting any easier. So this is like your one window. And at the trade deadline, when your only moves are Alex Cobb and Lane Thomas, yes, Lane Thomas has panned out and been a fucking stud and helped this team in the playoffs more than anybody. But the Alex Cobb move hurt us. We needed pitching. And the one thing that we didn't get when it's all said and done was pitching because Alex Cobb was nothing. He didn't do anything for us. So little things like that. I feel like they could have made a move. I get it too. There's only so much you can do. There weren't a lot of trades at the deadline this year. Jack Flaherty got dealt from the Tigers to the I'm not worried about the White Sox till the year 3000. Hey, if they keep Grady Sizemore at manager, I'd be worried about what they could do in that town. He really had them playing well at the end. I'm being very sarcastic, by the way. I do hope Grady Sizemore gets a job though, because it's cool to see ex-Guardians or Indians players, whatever, getting jobs. But the fact that they just weren't able to get that piece that they needed, and they kind of just stuck with the status quo, was disheartening. And now when we're in the playoffs, when we could have absolutely used an extra body like that, they don't have it. So that's what you get. And the fact that every commercial break is fucking Ohtani and Judge, that's all they care about. I love Ohtani. I think Ohtani, truthfully, is the greatest baseball player I've ever seen play baseball. I would love to see him get a championship if the Guardians don't make it.
Oh, they absolutely won a Yankees-Dodgers World Series. There's no question on that at all.
But I find it really, they don't do this for Judge, which I'll give them credit for, but they do it for Ohtani, which is really fucking bizarre. They'll literally put a picture of him up and put 4 batters away to let people know when he's coming up to bat. Like
marketing, man. Get people to go to the bathroom.
And they'll throw his picture up and be like, Shohei Ohtani, 4 batters away. And I do understand it's because they're trying to get the ratings, because you're getting a lot of Korean people watching. And worldwide, you're getting a ton of viewers for that series because of Ohtani. So they want to keep everyone engaged and basically let them know, like, hey, keep watching. He's almost up. Don't change the channel. Keep watching.
Wait, I just think they're doing that. I thought he was Japanese.
Or Japanese, sorry. I was thinking of Korean baseball leagues.
Just say it. They all look the same. Go ahead. It's fine.
No, I think more so of Korean baseball leagues. Either way, yeah, they're doing it because of that viewership they're getting from all the people.
Yeah.
So
it makes sense.
Truthfully.
And what other city, or what better city to have all that marketing capability than LA, right? I mean, that's the perfect. Well,
the better LA.
The better LA.
LA just didn't really pan out.
Yeah, right, exactly. But no, I mean, I would love to see a Guardians Dodgers World Series to see what we could do against that lineup. I mean, I think we'd get our ass kicked, but I think it'd be interesting to see. But they're the other Yankees, man. That entire lineup from top to bottom stacked. Everybody in that roster can hit.
They're stacked. They have really good pitching depth.
Yep.
Going to be interesting to see what happens tonight. They're game 3 that's tied 1-1. Game 3 starts in about 10 minutes. I'm excited to watch that. Fuck the Mets. You guys know my stance on that. My buddies that are Jets.
You don't want to see Lindor get one? Just get one?
I want to see him get one to the fucking jaw tonight. That's all I want to see. He can go fuck himself.
That dude, if that dude wasn't playing in the NL, man, the year he had, that's an MVP caliber year he's had this year.
Oh, for sure. He would be competing with Judge in the American League. In the National League, he has no chance. Otani's running away with that MVP. It's not even going to be close.
Sucks,
I fucking hate the Mets.
Fuck the Mets.
My buddies are from New York. They love the Mets, the Knicks, and the Nets. And the Jets. And I hate all 3 of those teams because of them. We talk so much shit between the it's Brian, Pat, Mike, and myself. So 4 of us. I love Lindor. I loved him as a Guardian, but now that he's on the Mets, I just want the Mets to overall as a team lose. So if that means Lindor has to be bad or not play or whatever happens, shit happens. It is what it is. He's no longer a Guardian.
But you don't hate you hate the Lakers, but you don't hate LeBron though.
Oh yeah, no, I love LeBron because LeBron, it's a little different. LeBron didn't go to a direct rival for me personally. I hate the Mets because of my friends. So Lindor went to the worst possible team he could have gone to. If he went to any other team, I would be rooting for him like a son of a bitch. Obviously, not the Yankees. Stay away from the evil teams. And Alonso are good people. Fuck Pete Alonso too, the polar bear. I can't wait till he fucking goes and signs a huge contract elsewhere next year and fucking sucks.
Is he old enough to retire yet? That dude's old. He's been around.
He's only like 30, surprisingly.
Bro, I thought he was for sure like 35. I thought he was old.
He's just played his entire career so far with the Mets, and he's finally getting to free agency. Hey, I mean, we do need a first baseman. We're not paying Pete Alonso that kind of money, though.
He does hit well in our park, though. He won the home run derby here.
Yeah, he mashes. Don't get me wrong. He's just, there's no way the Guardians are paying that fucking dude. He'll be more than likely Freddie Freeman will retire. He'll just be a Dodger next year.
They just like, it's like Thanos collecting all the stones. They just it's like West Side, East Side, East Coast versus West Coast. If you're on this side of the Mississippi, the Yankees will absorb you, and that side, Dodgers will absorb you. Yeah, that's what happens.
And don't get me wrong, the Mets can afford it. The Mets have technically the highest payroll in baseball with Stephen Cohen as their owner. He has an unlimited checkbook, and he is not afraid to spend money. It's just more so I don't think Pete Alonso, I just don't think he's in their plans for the future, if that makes sense.
Right. Agree.
So something to keep an eye on in the offseason, but their game 3 is getting ready to get underway tonight. Guardians will go down 0-3 tomorrow. And
it already, huh? Not even a chance. Who do we have throwing tomorrow?
I'm done. We're getting swept. It's over. I want the series to just be fucking done with by the time I get on my plane on Sunday to go to Punta Cana, so I don't have to try to watch a game down in the Dominican Republic. Same as the Browns.
Who's pitching tomorrow?
It's Boyd.
No, okay. Oh boy. All right.
So we're in good shape. I mean, Boyd's a good pitcher. It's just more so we can't hit. And again, that's why I called this episode the lob, the left on base. Every time somebody gets on base, we get into a great situation. We have a guy on, first and second with 1 out, bases loaded, 1 out. What do we do with it? Fucking nothing. We do not have that type of player. That's why that David Fry grand slam was like the greatest thing ever, and everyone fucking freaked out. Other teams hit grand slams. They're kind of just like, I won't say it's an everyday occurrence, but I've watched the Mets hit like fucking 2 or 3 grand slams in the playoffs so far. I've watched the Guardians hit a couple so far in the playoffs. For the Mets, it's kind of business as usual. They have all these power hitters. They have, what's his name, Vientos or whatever, their third baseman. They've got, obviously, Pete Alonso can hit home runs. They've got fucking Lindor that can hit home runs. The Guardians basically have Jose Ramirez. If Jose Ramirez isn't hitting a home run, everybody else is kind of like, whoa, I didn't see that coming. Technically, Josh Naylor's supposed to be that guy, but he's not. So when Lane Thomas
gets on first base, whoa, did not see that.
If Austin Hedges could get a fucking walk, I would lose my mind. But like I was watching the game on Saturday, and when Lane Thomas hit the grand slam, I'll be dead honest, he hit it. It looked like a sac fly. So I see it going, and I literally was like, okay, cool, that'll get 1 run in. And then I'm like, wait, that's still going. And next thing you know, it was a grand slam. That's how little faith I have in any of our players hitting a home run, is I truly thought it was a pop-up. They're really good at home and make it a tied series 2-2. No, I mean, I just don't have faith in them beating the Yankees anywhere. They could play on the fucking moon for all I care. I don't think they have a chance. The Yankees are just too good. We can't hit them for some reason. Fucking Rondon or whatever on Monday night, he looked like the fucking prime Randy Johnson. We couldn't hit the guy. And then yesterday, Garrett Cole is a decent pitcher. He was obviously, I think he's a little past his prime, if I'm being honest. Pitches us like he's Nolan Ryan. We just struggle against him.
To be fair, they've all had a lot more rest than we've had, though, too. Not saying that's an excuse, but those pitchers have had rest a little bit more than our pitchers have.
Yeah, absolutely. And it is what it is. They have a deeper lineup or staff, I should say, because again, we're going with 3 starters. That's all we have. We have too many injuries and not enough reliable arms. So we are strictly a bullpen team. The Yankees, what did they get yesterday? 6 innings, 5 1/3 or something like that out of Garrett Cole. Rendon on Monday, they got like fucking 6 innings or almost 7 innings out of him.
If we can get to their bullpen, we can hit their bullpen. Their bullpen's not great. Right? I mean, they're okay, but they're not great.
No, the problem is we can't get their starters out to get to their bullpen. Their starters are giving them 6 or 7 innings, and meanwhile, our starters are giving us 2. So that's killing us right there. And then again, opportunities galore left on base. Guardians just aren't capitalizing, and that's what's costing them. And I have officially given up faith. I've lost all hope, and it is going to be a 4-game sweep.
Time to flip that hat you're wearing inside out like Major League and wear it backwards.
No, I wouldn't disrespect the World Series run that we had with this hat. No, they don't deserve it. Guardians are toast. Stick a fork in them. They're done.
They suck. Boo.
I know George was expecting a much bigger rant from me today, but I think having 24 hours to process it, and really it happened mid-game. There was a time in the middle of the game where I officially was just like, okay. It was when Rocchio dropped that ball. When Rocchio dropped that, I just went, okay, you're facing the Yankees. You have to play perfect baseball here to even be competitive, and that's how you start the game off. So I was like, okay, that'll do it. I was getting Teddy ready for bed when the game started. I had a headphone in. I'm listening to Tom Hamilton, and he's like, and they get Judge to pop up to middle infield. And I'm sitting there listening like, oh shit, great. What a great start. And they're like, and Rocchio drops it, a run will score. I'm like, you got to be fucking kidding me. This is how it's going to start. So with that being said, I lost all faith right there. That's when I went, the lights are way too bright for this team, literally and figuratively, apparently, because Brayan Rocchio, who's a Gold Glove shortstop, couldn't catch a routine pop-up. Just shit like that you don't overcome from that in baseball. So thank you, Guardians, for a fun season. Thank you, Dolans, for another year of rinse and repeat Guardian baseball, where they're really good, the fans get really excited, then you get to the playoffs where shit matters, and we realize, they probably should have done a little bit more this year, and they never do. And we're always the bridesmaid, never the bride. So thanks, Guardians. Look forward to next year. Maybe you guys can get another 90 wins and then maybe make it to the ALCS where you can lose again to a team with a much higher payroll. So cheers.
We'll probably be the Yankees, so it's okay.
More than likely. Truthfully, they're going to give Juan Soto like fucking $700 million. They're going to be stacked again.
I don't know, man. I think Soto's gone after this year.
I think they're going to pay him as much as he fucking wants. He's so good.
You think so? Well, if not, he leaves. He's going to the Dodgers.
Well, they can't afford him. I'll officially say the Dodgers cannot give another $500+ million contract to somebody.
Could you imagine?
If they're already doing that shit with Ohtani where they like push all the payments out, there's no way they're bringing on Juan Soto.
Push all the payments out. That's a new way of doing contracts now.
I mean, if he's willing to take it, I just think Soto's going to get the biggest contract in baseball history, I think, or it'll be very competitive with Shohei Ohtani because he's not as good as Ohtani. I just don't know what teams can really afford it. Who has the unlimited pocketbook? I don't think the Mets would do it because they're already paying. They're paying Lindor so much money. They're not going to. I don't think they would bring on Soto. But I know Stephen Cohen was trying to get Ohtani last year, so he was
a Lindor Soto lineup would be interesting.
Very possible. Not a far move for him if he just wants to go play for the Mets. I don't think teams like the Braves would not pay a guy that kind of money. Obviously, I don't think anybody from the American League Central would pay him that kind of money. Nobody really from the West I could see spending that kind of cash either, or where he'd even want to go.
Between New York and LA, I mean, he's not going to go anywhere else.
Yeah, I can't think of any other teams
Chicago,
that would get that kind of pocketbook.
Maybe? Probably not. Cubs?
No. I don't think they would do that. I don't think so. Not really a Cubs type of move to give a guy $500 million or whatever he's going to get.
Very true, but there's no other team. Houston?
No, there's really not. The other thing is he's already been in San Diego, so San Diego would be the other team where you're like, oh, I could see them maybe going for it, but since he already had his time there and they got rid of him, no, Houston wouldn't pay a guy that kind of money, and they have a pretty good right fielder if I'm not mistaken.
Boston, as a rebuild.
No, I don't. I mean, maybe that's a team that definitely could afford him, but they're not the same team as they used to be, where they have these superstars with all this cash. So I really don't know. It's tough. It might only be between. He might just either have to pick between the Yankees and the Mets. That's kind of it.
Yeah. What's your shorter distance to work?
Yeah. Who did you like playing with these guys, or would you like to try something else? That's basically all you can do. All right. Well, speaking of guys changing teams, we're gonna flip over to the Browns, who
do we have to
made a move.
I went looking for a paper bag to put on my head when this section was going on. We don't have any in the house, I guess, just plastic bags. And I didn't want to look like I was trying to kill myself. So.
Well, there you go. George didn't even give you a name, so that helps.
Yeah, I'm just nameless.
So the Guardians, we'll talk about that game really quick. Browns and Eagles. Browns and Eagles, shit show for both sides. The Eagles struggled. The Eagles fans were booing. That's how bad the Browns are. Is if you're competitive with the Browns, the fans boo. They won the game, and the fans still weren't happy.
Even their coach was yelling at the fans.
It's so bad that just by barely beating the Browns, it's not good enough.
What did he say? I just know it happened, but did it ever come out what he said to the fan?
No, he was just talking shit. They were basically booing him, and they got the win. So I think he was just kind of saying, like, fuck you, boo me now. We got the win, you idiots. You know, shit
Philly
like that.
Fans, Philly fans are not the ones.
Ruthless.
They're not the ones. Oof. All right, where was it? Probably like someone was saying something's coming to Philly in a couple years. I forget what. I think it's the Olympics or not the Olympics or something. And they're like, "Would you go to Philly to watch?" I'm like, "Fuck no, I am not. I would not step foot in Philadelphia for anything. Like, it's insane to me."
I went there one time for the NFL draft, and I hated Philadelphia.
It's so bad that people from out of town, like, yeah, that's what it was. I was talking to a guy that I met when I was in PA for work at a bar. I went to get some wings and a beer or two. Sat next to me, and he's like, "Yeah, him and his buddies go, and they kind of do what you do, right? They go around and they travel, but not go to the draft, but they travel around, watch different football games at different areas.
Sure.
Like, they go to different stadiums, right? Which is kind of cool. And he's a Dallas fan. He's a huge Cowboys fan. So when Dallas came and played Philly, him and 5 or 6 of his friends went, but they bought like these cheap green jackets to wear during the game because they've seen in the past people getting just punched, jumped for no fucking reason, right?
You get beat up, you get shit thrown on you during the game. Like, it's ruthless. Like, they'll literally fuck with you the entire time to get you to leave.
So he said he wore the green jackets and everything to watch the games, quietly rooted. Hey, there I am, quietly rooted for the team. And then they got back to the hotel. They put on their Dallas shit because there's the hotel where all the Dallas fans are at. But like, fuck that, man. I'm not. You couldn't pay me to go to Philly. There's no way.
I already hate going to football games. I really do. It's such a bad view no matter where you are. I'd rather just watch on TV. And especially nowadays in sports, it seems like more and more there's just viral videos all the time of people fighting and like over the dumbest shit. Like, it's just full brawls in the stands.
You saw that Baltimore guy,
the Baltimore guy going around punching everybody. He's fucked. He's going to jail.
Yeah, absolutely. I guess they already fired him. I guess like internet's already did their thing, found everything, pulled up his history, his abusive record, all the shit he's done. Like, they found everything.
He's fucked.
No, absolutely.
And self-inflicted, rightfully so. Then even yesterday, there was a fucking Miami Heat, San Antonio Spurs preseason basketball game. The game ends.
Intense, right?
Who knows what these people were arguing about during or after the game, whatever. All of a sudden, they're interviewing Tyler Hero on TV, and he's talking, and he's like, "Oh shit, there's a fight," and he's like smiling, he's watching. There's just a huge brawl in the crowd. Like, the game's over. It's a preseason game, and people are fighting, and it's like, is that really what we're coming to? Of you just fight all the time at fucking sporting events?
Thankfully, we're going to the Ravens game in 2 weeks. No one's going to be there, so it's okay. I'm not going to have to experience that much issues or that many fights, so it's okay.
Well, the one thing you might have to worry about is getting beat up by Ravens fans because they might outnumber the Browns fans because Browns fans are going to sell all their tickets. So you might have to worry about that.
That's actually probably true. I texted one of my buddies. I'm like, hey, do you mind if we crash your tailgate? Because he tailgates down there all the time. Like, him and his buddies have like a section out in like Muni lot. I'm like, do you mind if my wife and I like crash your thing? He's like, yeah, I don't care if we're doing it. He goes, right now we're talking about not doing it the rest of the year because the enthusiasm's kind of gone. I was like, yeah, that makes sense. We suck. So
I understand it completely.
Yeah. Oh well.
Yeah. So maybe buy some cheap purple jackets to wear during the game, just to be safe.
Jackets over us to wear so we don't get beat up during the game. Jess will fight my battles for me. I believe in her.
You might need her. It's going to be ugly. So yeah, the Browns and Eagles defense played well. All things considered, considering you went into the game with Devontae Smith healthy, with AJ Brown healthy, with Saquon Barkley. They held Saquon Barkley to like fucking 40 yards or whatever, 50 yards. He was a non-factor. Jalen Hurts beat you a couple times, but overall the defense played really well, kept you in the game, kept it competitive. More of the same shit on offense, injuries, pressures, guys that didn't look like they were on the same page. Of course, our run game was actually working kind of well. Then Jerome Ford got hurt. Go figure. Myles Garrett jumped over the line and got the block again on a field goal. We returned it for a touchdown. Huge play. Rodney McLeod is now the Browns team leader in touchdowns with Amari Cooper no longer being on the roster.
I hope he gets another one on Sunday just to keep going for it.
I hope that in the first quarter, Nick Chubb gets I don't even give a fuck if they're from the inch-yard line. Get Nick Chubb 2 touchdowns just so we can say somebody on offense has 2 touchdowns.
Oh, it's more fun this way, man. Come on.
It's embarrassing. It really is. So the Browns do end up losing to the Eagles. I don't even remember what the final score was, to be honest, off the top of my head.
It doesn't matter.
It really doesn't. It was a 1-score game. I know that. It was like, 20-16 or something like that. We lost the game. 20-16.
Yep.
Yeah. So 20-16, Browns lose, of course. I thought it was going to be way worse.
I'm over this team, man. I'm done. I'm just done. Like, everything just looks so sloppy.
It's just
so sloppy.
And this is where my conspiracy theories, 2 of them,
get me with them,
come into play. Obviously, the Browns have traded Amari Cooper to the Buffalo Bills for a 3rd-round pick, and they gave them a 6th-round pick, and gave them it was Amari Cooper and a 7th for a 3rd and a 6th, if I'm not mistaken. Amazing trade. Great return of investment because you traded for Amari Cooper for like a 5th-round pick 2.5 years ago, whatever. And now you're getting a 3rd back. Incredible deal.
What equity we had in him, huh? He's worth.
That's great. The only problem is when you take a look at what Andrew Berry does with 3rd-round picks, you kind of go, fuck, never mind. We should have got a 2nd or a 4th because 3rd is not his round.
List. I saw the list yesterday. Not good.
3rd is not his round. However, here's conspiracy theory number 1. This was something you and I had discussed a couple times. First off, while he's not watching yet, he usually goes back and watches our show later. Chipper, shout out to Chipper. Chipper tried to call me out yesterday after the Amari Cooper trade went out because I forgot what he posted. He posted something about like the Amari Cooper trade, and I said, he was disgruntled. He clearly didn't want to be here. They got a good offer. You take it, whatever. And then Chipper's like, but you said they weren't going to trade him this year. And he screenshot my comment. In the comment, I put, he's not getting traded this year unless there's a deal too good to pass up because his compensatory pick value, if he signs elsewhere in the offseason, will more than likely get like a 3rd-round pick for us. We got a 3rd-round pick from Buffalo. That is exactly what I said. A deal that's too good to pass up. They took it. But he tried to call me out. And he's like, you said he wasn't getting traded. And I'm like, I even said, I put in quotes, unless the deal's too good to pass up. A 3rd-round pick is exactly that type of deal that you don't pass up. Because again, your compensatory picks that you get are when your players leave in free agency, they sign elsewhere. The picks you get in return are based on the type of contract they sign. So if you have a very good player like Amari Cooper, he probably would have left here and signed a multi-year deal for $25 million, $20 million a year, which is good money. That would have been probably a 3rd, 4th-round pick, compensatory-wise. Buffalo said, hey, we'll give you a 3rd right now. You go, fuck yeah, I'll take that in a heartbeat. Because hypothetically, let's say week 10, you keep him on the roster. You don't trade Amari Cooper. Not saying it, wouldn't have wanted it to happen. He tears his ACL.
Yep.
Now no one's going to sign him in the offseason. You're getting nothing out of it. So it was a no-brainer decision. Another name I would keep an eye on to get traded would be Zadarius Smith. However, we no longer have the depth at defensive line to just dump a guy like that. So he does have a 1-year contract. He is still technically a valuable player, but that's one name to keep an eye on. All right, back to my conspiracy theory. Amari Cooper was tanking on purpose.
Agree.
He was pissed. I thought it was mental. I'm like, dude, Amari Cooper doesn't drop passes. He just doesn't. And then now with this happening, and as soon as he gets traded, he's sending little subtle jabs on social media and talking a little bit of shit.
Have to move or rust. Yeah, okay.
Move or rust. And it's like, or you catch the ball or get traded. That's pretty much your other options too, instead of move or rust. Do your job or get dealt elsewhere. And that's why he's on his 4th team in the NFL. That's why he's now been traded 3 times. Something tells me when you're the common denominator to issues like that, it's probably a you problem. But I gave Amari the benefit of the doubt. I thought Amari was an utmost professional. I thought he was a guy who would never, ever, ever take a play off.
It's just
now in hindsight, I'm looking at it and I'm like, no, I think he was literally out there doing shit on purpose. You even asked in the Raider game, you asked me that. You said, do you think he dropped that on purpose? And I was like, no, not Amari Cooper would never do that.
That Olay ball? Absolutely.
Yeah. Now I'm like, okay, that was questionable now. And
I was just going to say, like, you look back at the entire season now, and granted, we're only into week 7 now? Was it week 7 now?
It feels like a lot longer, but yeah.
A lot of these passes, mind you, when Deshaun gets him the ball, right, is stuff that in any other time, any other game, he catches. The over-the-shoulder grabs, like that one in week 1 that was like right there in a fucking breadbasket, right? That's something he could have caught easily. Drops it.
Yep.
Couple in the numbers, drops it. Then he goes and makes then to keep you like interested and keep you like off his scent, he'll make a couple sideline catches and snags where he toe taps in.
The touchdown catches against the Giants.
Yeah, it's like, those are great. Look, hey, Cooper, okay, he's just having a bad game, right? Whatever. But yeah, man, I honestly think he's had the most drop passes out of anyone this year, I think, if I'm not mistaken.
He leads the league with 9. I think second closest is 6.
that absolutely adds up now. And get ready, here it comes. He's going to go to Buffalo, and those statistics, and we need to track this, I think, will drop. He will not have those issues the rest of the year. Kind of like how Devontae Adams' hamstring suddenly feels much better now.
He got real healthy real quick. And George, you got to keep up, brother. I said this is his 4th team, 3rd time traded. Way ahead of you, bro. I know my shit. But yeah, so that's the interesting thing too, is that also there are all these people that are using, of course, the Twitter film breakdown guys. They're posting he deleted the comment. The Twitter film breakdown. There you go. I wish I were. They were posting a couple plays where Deshaun Watson threw the ball and Amari Cooper, they clearly weren't on the same page. And everyone just immediately blames Watson. They go, look at this fucking throw. This guy sucks. And Watson is literally going like, he's pointing like, what the fuck? Like, you were supposed to be going deep. Like, why are you turning?
Watson
and not
has had some
route?
bad throws this year. Let's not
Sure,
let him slide in a lot.
defending that.
Okay.
I'm more so defending that. Yeah, if you look at a play and Watson makes a horrible pass that looks like it's nowhere
talking
near
about that
anybody.
go route that he was. I think he got stuffed at the line, and usually when you get pressed, your first go to is go outside and go long. That's where he cut back short. Yeah, I remember that. That was 100%
Watson threw it to the sideline. Cooper cut in at the line to gain. And everyone, of course, goes, I don't know, who the hell is he throwing to? And everyone on Twitter goes, Watson sucks. Look at this fucking throw. Meanwhile, Watson's literally pointing at Amari Cooper going like, you're supposed to go fucking deep. Like, what are you doing? And then I look at that and I go, now that he's traded, I'm looking at that going, did Amari Cooper do that on purpose?
Mm-hmm.
Did Amari Cooper purposely go, I'm just going to run the wrong route. I'm going to do the wrong. There were multiple times that he ran the wrong route.
I'm not an NFL coach by any means. I'm not an offensive coordinator, but common sense. And I'll bring in Madden, right? I know you like to reference Madden, right? If I'm playing John Madden football and I see receivers, I'm playing online and I see his corners pressing my receivers, I put a go route on the receivers because it's instantly get them outside and just chuck that ball up there because more than likely you're beating that one-on-one, right? That's exactly the play that was called there. Is he threw it, tossed it to the sideline, thinking Cooper is going to go down the sideline and go up for a catch, which we've seen him do a million times, right? That was 100% on Cooper. I think he did it on purpose. I believe you. I believe it. Yeah.
And that is not the first time this season that those two have not been on the same page. And of course, everyone just automatically goes, well, Watson made a bad pass. It's like, can we confirm that Amari Cooper was running the proper route? Because there's a reason Amari Cooper got traded and is no longer in Cleveland. There's a reason Amari Cooper wasn't a guy that the Browns thought they would have here long term. And as I said earlier, he's on his 4th team now. He's the common denominator and kind of wearing out his welcome.
So is Judy our number 1 now? Is that who we're going to lean on?
Well, it ain't Elijah Moore, so yeah, it's definitely Jerry. Well, I take that back. It's not Elijah Moore yet, because as soon as Jerry Jeudy gets an injury, Elijah Moore is our number 1 receiver, and that's a scary thought. But yes. And on the flip side, I have a second conspiracy theory.
Hit me.
Kevin Stefanski is playing Deshaun Watson out of town. Similar to the Baker Mayfield final season in Cleveland, where every week you watched a crap product, you watched a quarterback where you went, this guy is clearly something's off. Why did they keep starting him? And every week they go, well, he gives us the best chance to win, gives us the best chance to win. This is exactly what happened with Baker Mayfield. It's identical. With this one, I'll be 100% honest. I think it was the same thing. I think DePodesta was trying to run Baker out of town because let's be honest, that's the other misconception that there's a lot of people out there that immediately just shit on Andrew Berry. They immediately shit on Stefanski. They're shitting on everybody. This is Paul DePodesta's team.
Who do they want as a quarterback though? Right? I don't understand. We're one of the most analytically driven fucking teams in the NFL, right? And it's like I think we're overthinking what we should be doing here. And I don't understand, like, why would you bring a quarterback in like Watson with the Watson skill that's clearly the man has talent. He's statistically in every game he's played this year. Yes, he's had bad plays. Yes, he's made some bad throws, maybe some questionable decisions with happy feet. I think he does have happy feet a little bit more this year. I get it. The offensive line's not doing any favors, but you're not building an offense around the man, right? You're not building the offense to his strengths. You're running a Stefanski offense. And it's either you fit in or you don't fit in. And I think what you're saying, if I'm not mistaken, is that he's not fitting in. So we're going to keep running it because you're going to look horrible, not me. And we're just going to go with another choice next year. Like, how long until Winston plays, you think? Do you think they're like leaning towards moving Winston in here?
No, I don't think at this point, the way the offense is going, I don't think a different quarterback makes much of a difference. I also don't think that Watson's not losing you games. He's not winning them either, but he's not losing you games. If you look at it, yes, we got blown out by Dallas and we got blown out by Washington. Every other game's been a one-score game. We beat the Jags. We lost to the Raiders by 4 or whatever, 5. We lost to the Giants by 5 points. We lost to the Eagles by 4 points. Every game we've played has been a one-score game. It's just a matter of if Watson can figure some shit out. Now, where I kind of lose a little steam in my theory of Stefanski's trying to run him out of town, and really quickly to George's point, the Watson contract cannot be expunged. No, that's for sure. Basically, the what the Browns can do, and all they really can do, is if they're looking to change quarterbacks, you either have to get a cheap backup, which Mary Kay Cabot, who I don't say this often, made some really good points today, and she was bringing up some backup quarterbacks who looked like their careers were done, moved on somewhere else, and their careers were rejuvenated. And she said Baker Mayfield, Geno Smith, Sam Darnold, some of these guys who, when you Andy think Dalton. Their careers are Andy Dalton, when you look at Justin Fields, these guys who you go, their careers are done. They go to another team and you're like, oh shit, they actually have a little something in there. They just needed to be in the right place. She brought that up and she said she thinks that's kind of what the Browns are going for with Watson, is they're like, if you've seen a player play as badly as Watson has played, which you've seen with Geno Smith, you saw with Sam Darnold, you saw these guys hit rock bottom and they look like they had no business being in the NFL, and then they go to the right situation and they turn it around. She's like, I think the Browns are still trying to find that spark with Watson. They know it's there. They just have to click it. And the one thing that really got overlooked on Sunday, in my opinion, I'd have to go back and rewatch the game, which I would never do because it was not a great game.
Just kick yourself in the balls. It's the same thing.
The second half of the Eagles game, nobody talked about this really in the media or anything. In the second half of the Eagles game, the offense looked a little different. Gets a little different. They put Watson under center. They were able to run play actions. They were able to do some things offensively that they don't normally do. The look was a little different. No one talks about it. Watson went 11 of 12 for 125 yards in the second half of that game. Nobody talks about how well he did in that second half because it looked like they ran the offense to a little more up his alley. Now, if you're incorporating what you hope is a 75% Nick Chubb, you have what's his face back? Your right tackle, Jack Conklin. Wills is maybe getting healthy. DeJuan Jones now had a week off, which is great for his health. Ethan Posick might be back soon. Wyatt Teller might be back in a couple of weeks. I'm not saying the season's saved by any stretch. That's dead in the water. I'm admitting that. But to see a glimmer of hope in Watson could be there.
Yeah.
Because again, that second half against the Eagles, no one was talking about it after the fact because we lost. Everyone was just pissed off. When he played great in the second half against the Ravens, everyone loved it because we won. We lost this game, but he went 11 of 12. Then we got down to the goal line. We were in position to take the lead, and we shot ourselves in the foot. We had multiple penalties. We had to kick the field goal because we were too far back. It was 4th and goal from like the fucking 15. Those are just self-inflicted wounds they have to clean up. But there was a little bit of hope there with this team.
Yeah. No.
So my conspiracy theory of Stefanski's trying to run him out of town, I had it for a minute, but at the same time, I realized I don't think that's happening. I think they are just going. I don't think they're in big trouble, George, because they do have multiple wide receivers on the practice squad. They have James Prochet. They just brought back. Technically, Jalen Darden is a wide receiver. They have Kadarius Toney on the practice squad. So there's a lot more to it, George. Judy Moore, Cedric Tillman, and then Amari Thrash is a guy who in the preseason balled out. Amari Thrash is fast as fuck. He actually looks like he's going to be a pretty good wide receiver. So I really hope he gets a lot of playing time because I want to see him play.
And our offense does change with a Chubb back. I mean, it does. I mean, you're focused on Chubb first, Chubb touching the ball first, which sets up that play action, which sets up the receivers being open. And I'm hoping that means Njoku finally gets his fucking shit together now and starts doing what we expected him to do all year. Granted, he was hurt for a while, but still. I mean, it could look different, right? I mean, it could look different. It sucks that our schedule does not get easier from here.
No. Well, I mean, it does, but it doesn't. On paper, the schedule looks tough, but at the same time, I thought the Eagles game was going to be an ass whooping, and we managed to hold our own. I thought we were going to beat the shit out of the Giants and the Raiders, and that didn't happen. So you may look on paper and say this team sucks or this team's great, and then on any given Sunday, look at what happened to the Cowboys on Sunday. I thought this was going to be a fucking NFC Championship preview, two really good teams, a barn burner of a game.
The Lions were so bored with what they were doing. They were calling plays that they probably had so far down in their playbook. It was
I was waiting for them to wheel out a Make-A-Wish kid just to let him run the ball because they were like, "Fuck it, what do we have to lose?"
They're like, "Let's what play? Let's run the annexation of Puerto Rico. We never heard it before. Let's try it in this game." And they fucking
were literally designing plays for their offensive linemen to catch the ball. They were so fucking bored.
It was an asshole. I didn't know the Lions. I mean, the Lions are just that good, I guess. I mean, that's crazy. But now with Hutchinson out, that's. Woof.
Yeah, so that's going to do it right now for the Browns talk. We will get on to the rest of the season here, or the games. We'll go quickly do a recap of the games of the week that was, because I didn't realize how late we are. Thursday Night Football, the San Francisco 49ers beat up on the Seahawks 36-24. There we are in England. There was a game. The Jags got blown the fuck out by the Bears. Caleb Williams throws like 4 or 5 touchdowns. They just beat the shit out of them. Green Bay Packers win 34-13 over the Cardinals. Colts survive against the Titans 20-17. Joe Flacco gets another W. The Texans beat up on the Drake May first career start New England Patriots. He looked good at times, but still got their asses kicked. Baker and the Buccaneers put up 51 on Spencer Rattler and the New Orleans Saints, 51-27. Browns, of course, lose 20-16 to the Eagles. Washington tries their best, but cannot beat their in-state rival Baltimore Ravens 30-23. The Denver Broncos made a valiant effort to make a comeback against the Chargers, but it did not come through. They fell short 23-16. Steelers beat up on the Raiders 32-13 and have decided to make a quarterback change for some reason. So we'll talk about that. As we mentioned earlier, the Lions win 47-9 on Jerry Jones's birthday. They get their fucking dicks beat in. However, they do lose Aiden Hutchinson for the foreseeable future. I don't know if you and George saw that, but that was one of the grossest leg breaks I have seen.
Next to Nick Chubb's knee. Yeah, that was bad.
That was up there. I've never seen a knee just dangle and swivel like that. Falcons beat up on the Panthers 38-20. Bengals survive against the Giants 17-7. And the Bills win an ugly fucking game against the Jets. That was one of the worst officiated games I have ever seen. That was a flag fest. It was ugly. The NFL has got to be pissed that was a Monday night nationwide performance for everybody to see.
Hey, they got an Aaron Rodgers Hail Mary throw, so check the box. It was on Friday.
They got an Aaron Rodgers Hail Mary, and then they had multiple really fucking terrible roughing the passer calls that were just ugly. But the Jets lost, so I'm happy about it. The Jets do trade for Devontae Adams. Finally, they make it happen. The worst kept secret. Aaron Rodgers runs that team through and through. They fire the head coach because Rodgers wants him to. They trade for Devontae Adams because Rodgers wants him to. They have Alan Lazard because Rodgers wanted him to. They have Nathaniel Hackett because Rodgers wants him to.
Jordy Nelson signing a contract now too.
Yeah.
So.
Donald Driver is in the building to sign a career Legends contract. It is ugly in New York. They're 2-4. I don't think this Adams move is going to do much for them because at the end of the day, their offensive line stinks. Aaron Rodgers is constantly under pressure. He's constantly hobbling. Their defense is not as good as they were last year, which is something that's very common in the NFL. Defenses tend to have fall-offs, and they cannot stop the run for whatever reason. So the Bills, even without James Cook, ran all over the Jets. So if teams can just run on them, which the Jets play the Pittsburgh Steelers this week, so that should be a pretty good game.
Start Harris, I mean.
If you have Jalen Waddle or Najee Harris, start them. It is going to be a ground game for sure. I'm excited to watch that game. That's the worst matchup that could possibly happen in my life because I hate Pittsburgh, obviously, and I fucking hate the Jets with such a fiery passion that I don't even want to pick that game. I don't even want to talk about it. I don't want it to happen. I want Bane to show up like in the fucking Batman
blow the stadium up
and just blow the stadium up. I would love that. But we'll talk about those later. Really quickly, as we mentioned, the Mets and the Dodgers are in Game 3 that started here. Luckily, our baseball discussion is pretty quick for the postseason because there's only 4 teams left, and we already covered the last 2 here. This is an outdated postseason picture. George, you're better than that. I think he's looking up the new one. He's on top of shit. But yeah, so it is the Mets against the Dodgers, and it is 0-0 in the top of the second. So there's your baseball update. George has gone black. He's Operation Zero Dark 30 that LeBron used to do. There we go, updated and ready to roll. The Mets and Dodgers are playing right now 0-0. Switching gears, we're going to do a little, I think the NBA season starts next week, if I'm not mistaken.
This year's gone by way too quick, man. We're already back to basketball season.
I am going to be in Punta Cana for the season to start. I'll be there technically if the Guardians can somehow get to the World Series, which they're not. Game 1, I think, is the 25th, which is my 5-year wedding anniversary, and I'll be in Punta Cana. And I already told Tara, I said, hey, just so you know, if the Guardians are in the World Series, we're spending our anniversary dinner watching the Guardians World Series game. She didn't agree with that, so we'll see how that goes if it comes to it. Yeah, the Meds must be pretty good, George. You're usually better. You're on top of shit. You're giving me week old brackets. Can't have that. It's Bush League. I'm just kidding. I don't give a fuck. Really quickly, let's get into our NBA predictions. I have my list right here. We'll start from the top. We'll start from the bottom, I should say. We're going to do Defensive Player of the Year. We're going to do Rookie of the Year. We're going to do MVP. And we are going to do our prediction for the final 2 teams and who wins a championship. Of course, don't hold this against us. But here goes nothing. With the Defensive Player of the Year, I think I picked him last year, and I'm doing it again because I don't give a fuck. Give me Evan Mobley. He is with a new head coach. It looks like he is a different man. In the little bit of preseason time that he's had, he's got like fucking his first game, I think he played 19 minutes. He had 3 blocks. If he keeps that up, if he can play at that level, no question about it, he'll be Defensive Player of the Year. I technically think he should have gotten it 2 years ago. He got robbed when they gave it to Jaren Jackson, but it's going to be between him and probably Victor Wembanyama, just because Victor Wembanyama's 8 feet tall. So he gets a lot of blocks. Pretty easy to play defense when you're that tall.
That's why I was going for. My pick was Wembanyama. I think he's going to get the defense. There's a bet, a futures bet. I think it's like plus 250 on DraftKings that if Wembanyama has 20 rebounds or more, it hits anytime during the NBA season.
Oh, that's not bad. I might have to look into that.
Yeah,
he is currently on FanDuel. He is the favorite for Defensive Player of the Year by a fucking mile.
Mm-hmm.
So NBA Defensive Player of the Year, you can get Evan Mobley at plus 1,400. You can get Bam Adebayo at plus 1,200. You could get Rudy Gobert, multiple time Defensive Player of the Year, plus 2,000. Or you could take Victor Wembanyama minus 155. That's like the biggest gap I've ever seen in my fucking life. That is like this current Browns team taking on a Tom Brady Patriots team. Like that is so fucking night and day difference. It's ridiculous.
So it's almost worth throwing money at Mobley, though. I mean, it's not a bad pick. I mean, just
for sure. At plus 1,400, it's like, hey, I'm not saying I want it to happen. I think he's great for basketball, but injuries happen. Victor Wembanyama, if he goes down with something, boom, that fucking opens right up. If you get him now at plus over 1,000, that's amazing.
Good for Victor, though. Victor put on some weight, it looks like, in the offseason, some muscle, too. So that's going to bode well for him, I think.
Yeah, he needed it. NBA Rookie of the Year. This one, I think we might have the same pick. I got to go with Guardian guy Greg, Purdue alumni, Zach Edey. Zach Edey so far in the playoffs in the preseason has looked like a man amongst boys. He's another one like Wembanyama. He's big, so he can just dominate around the rim. I don't think he's really that talented personally, but he's big and he knows how to use it. So he's a heavy favorite for a Rookie of the Year at plus 290. So that's who I'm going to put my money on if I were a betting man for futures, which I'm not.
I like it. I was going to go Reed Shepherd. Throw a different name out there. I think he's up there too. I think number 2 or 3 favorite to win it potentially. But
on FanDuel, he's third. Yeah.
Yeah. So I'll throw Reed Shepherd out there as a prediction.
Okay. Good pick. And then for regular season MVP.
Oh, this is easy.
I'll let you go first.
Give me Luka, baby. Let's go.
Okay, I was wondering if you're going to take him. I think Luka will too. After watching Luka take the Mavericks to the finals last year, obviously they came up short. Luka's a great player. I love watching him play basketball. I wish he would stop whining as much as he does. Don't get me wrong. But that's the other thing too, is that's the nature of the game.
I'm just tired of it being between centers. Just give it to fucking Luka this year.
I hate the guys that quote unquote flop and cry at the refs and shit like that. But in this day and age in the NBA, that's just the way you play it. So for everybody that shits on LeBron because LeBron will, act like he got ran over by a truck when he got bumped, but you need to draw the foul. If Michael Jordan were playing in this day and age, he would be doing the exact same thing. That's just where we are as a sport. So even the best from 30 years ago would be doing that today, just because that's how it is. You adapt to the game. You don't do the opposite. You don't stay in your old ways or you'll get passed up. So watching guys flop and shit like that, I hate it, but it's part of the game.
Agree.
So I'm not knocking Luka for doing it. The complaining
he is a little whiny. Let that shit and let's play basketball. But I think it's his year. I think it's his year to win it. He's been so close in the past, but I think Luka takes it this year.
I'm hoping that him getting to the finals last year kind of woke him up to be like, all right, I need to step my game up. I saw what it takes to win a championship. I need to be that much better. And Luka's already a great player. So if he takes it up even a notch, like, oh fuck, look out NBA. So yeah, I'm with you. I'm going Luka. I would love to see that. NBA Finals MVP is another one on here, but that's ridiculous. So instead of that, we'll just do our NBA Finals predictions. So if you go to future NBA, where is it? NBA Finals. Here we go. They have the Celtics as the heavy favorite plus 320. They have the Thunder 650. They have the Knicks at 750. Sixers 1,000. Timberwolves 1,000. And the Nuggets 1,100 to round out the top six. With that being said, I'll let Kyle go first. Kyle, who do you think faces off in the NBA Finals for the Eastern and Western Conference, and who do you think is this year's?
I don't want to make this pick, but I think it's going to be the Knicks versus the Mavericks in the playoff in the finals. I hate saying the Knicks, the Mavericks. I think, but I think the Knicks get it done this year enough. I think they're going to be a pretty solid team, and I hate that. I absolutely hate that.
I disagree. I think the Knicks lost more than they gained in the offseason. I think losing Dante DiVincenzo was huge. I think losing Isaiah Hartenstein is huge. He was a guy who would go in there and command the paint, and he would get rebounds, and he was a physical force. Williams.
Defense, baby. This is all offense. It'll be 130 points a game.
They're going to try. Big Cat Karl Anthony Towns is not that kind of player. He likes to shoot three, so they're going to shoot the fuck out of the ball. But they went from being known as this like hard-ass team that was like they played great defense to not really having that type of identity anymore. And then now they lose DiVincenzo, who was a clutch player for them in the playoffs. He helped them get to where they got in the Eastern Conference Finals. Without him, I think that's a huge loss. They don't have Julius Randle anymore. But again, you did get Karl Anthony Towns. I don't know if it's enough, though. I don't like their bench. I don't think they have any depth anymore. Karl Anthony Towns is known for only playing like maybe 60 games a year. He's always hurt. They traded a shitload of picks for Mikal Bridges, who changed his shot. I don't know if you've seen an updated video of Mikal Bridges taking a shot.
Is it bad?
It's ugly. It's one of the uglier three-point shots you'll ever see. And even to the point where they had Anthony Edwards mic'd up the other day, and he was talking shit. And he's like, oh my God, this guy changed his fucking shot. And they was like making fun of him in the middle of the game because he was shooting so ugly. So pretty interesting. Pretty funny to see. With that being said, I am going to take a shot in the dark here. I'm going to have a little fun with it because I can.
I just saw the video
of Bridges shooting. Yeah, it's fucking ugly, dude.
It's like a Shaq.
I'm going to have a little fun. I am going to go with, if they can stay healthy, I think they could absolutely do it. I'm going to go with the Milwaukee Bucks taking on the Oklahoma City Thunder in what would be the NBA's worst nightmare for two of the smallest market teams in the history of the NBA, for the Milwaukee Bucks to get a championship. That's who I'm picking this year to win it all.
I like that. That would be I say exciting, but yeah, it would be a marketing horrible nightmare for the NBA.
I think with Giannis healthy, they're a totally different team, and he obviously was not healthy in the playoffs last year. So that was a huge blow.
They still got that team pretty much core from like 2 years ago.
No, they have. I mean, he's a huge choke artist, so I don't like this pick for their head coach is Doc Rivers. However, the talent on there is really good. They are a fucking really good team. And again, if Giannis is back and healthy, I mean, the sky's the limit for them. There was a part of me that wanted to pick the Sixers just because they added Paul George. But Paul George is hurt, of course, and I just don't trust Philly.
Where do you see the Cavs going? First round playoffs, second round playoffs? What do you think?
Truthfully, I'm not ready to answer that. I need to see what they look like because they're a team that did nothing different. So we're rolling back the exact same team, and we're hoping that it's going to be better because we have a new head coach. That's all we've changed. They drafted Jalen Tyson, who was the 21st pick or whatever. So I'm not expecting anything out of the kid, but we just have a new coach. That's it. So I have no fucking idea what to expect with this team. If gun to my head, I would say, maybe they're the 3 or 4 seed, and maybe they can get to the Eastern Conference Finals. Really just depends on who they face and how well they play them, because last year we didn't have to face Milwaukee and a healthy Giannis. We didn't face them at all, but had we ended up with them, we did go against Boston. We struggled against Orlando, who should be a good team again this year. We would have struggled against the Knicks. I'm sure most of you know. We probably would have struggled against the Pacers in a 7-game series, and that was with JB Bickerstaff. So I'm very, very, very curious to see how this is going to shape up with Kenny Atkinson. Gun to my head right now, I have high expectations because of the talent this team has, and if they can put it all together with Atkinson, the sky's the limit, but I need to see it. So for right now, I can only say they'll make it as far as they did last year because they're rolling back exactly what they had last year. That's the best answer that I can give to that question.
I like it. Yeah, I thought for sure maybe. I think at least a 4 seed, hopefully.
I mean, I could see that, but again, it really depends on the rest of the league because, you expect Boston to be really good. So there's arguably your 1 seed. You're expecting the Knicks to be a little bit better. So there's your 2 or 3 seed. The Bucks, you expect Giannis to be healthy. There's your 3 or 4. The Sixers added Paul George. If they can stay healthy and put it together, there's your 4 or 5. Then the Cavs kind of get thrown into that mix. You expect the Pacers to still be good. You expect the Magic to be a little bit better now that they're older. So there's a lot of competition in the East. Getting the 4 or 3 seed would be huge. I mean, obviously the higher the better in the playoffs for the playoffs. But it's a cutthroat East as the season starts right now. If everyone, again, this is basing everything off of last year, subject to change. There could be the Pacers were a team that made it to the Eastern Conference Finals last year, and who knows, they could win 40 games this year and not even make the playoffs. So who knows? But I digress. We'll see what happens when all the chips fall. We'll let it start. I am looking forward to the season starting. I love NBA basketball. Obviously, I love the Cavs. I cannot wait for the season to begin. All right, we're going to switch gears. We are doing our Week 7 picks. Kyle made a valiant effort and a comeback last week by having a near perfect week. The only problem is that I also had a near perfect week. He missed 1. I only missed 2. I went 12-2. Kyle went 13-3, and as you can see our score, 13-1. As you can see our scores there, Kyle is 61-46 to my 70-37. And we are going to get our picks in. We're going to do our Browns pick last, as we do as always. We're going to do just the tip, and then I'm going to remind you one more time that there's no show next week because I will be in Punta Cana, just briefing you all on what is to come. Thursday Night Football, a.k.a. the prison inmate game of the week. No, it's not. No, it's not. I take that back. That is the poor people of jolly old London who have to suffer through the Patriots-Jags. That's the worst game. At least in this game, you get to watch Bo Nix. I haven't seen the Broncos play yet in person or on my TV, and I have watched the Saints, but I have not watched them with Spencer Rattler, so that'll be kind of fun to watch for a minute. Actually, I take that back. The Guardians game will be on, so this game might get turned on in the fourth quarter at best. I don't have any fantasy players from either team in any of my leagues, so I don't give a shit. Oh, also, really quick, Kyle, I want to pick your brain here, off topic.
Yeah.
I'm in a fantasy league.
Okay.
It's the one with my buddies that I go to the draft with.
Yeah.
We pay no money for it. There are at least 2 people who don't even log in to check their lineups. They didn't even draft because they don't give a fuck because it's a fake league. We don't actually care. Like there's no money, there's no prize. Who gives a shit? So my uncle he did not draft. He hasn't logged into his account once this year. He had Devontae Adams. My friends are huge Jets fans. Soon as that trade happened, they immediately were like, "What do you want for Devontae? Blah blah blah." He's like, "Fuck you! I'm not playing fantasy. I'm not logging in. I don't care." I text him separately, and I say, just to piss all of them off, "What do you want for Devontae Adams? Like, let's make a trade." And he's like, "All right, let me log in and take a look." So I offered him Nick Chubb, who's returning from an injury, a number 1 wide running back.
Yeah.
David Njoku, the Browns' number one tight end, who's coming back from an injury, expecting, you expect big things, for Davante Adams and Dalton Schultz, who is the backup tight end on my uncle's team who doesn't do shit for Houston, really. I picked his worst player on his roster. I went with Dalton Schultz to try to make it as fair as possible. I thought that was a pretty good deal. I'm trading Nick Chubb and David Njoku for Davante Adams. It got vetoed so fucking quick. And the fact
they have in a free league, they have a veto option.
100%. We have a 4 out of 10 votes vetoes a trade, and they vetoed it. And the commissioner, I was busting balls. I was just trying to be funny, and I'm like, "This is fucking bullshit. What is this?" And he goes, Nick Chubb and David Njoku for Davante Adams and Mark Andrews isn't fair. And I'm like, who the fuck said Mark Andrews? I'm like, he wasn't even part of the deal. I'm like, so you vetoed a trade that you didn't even fucking read? You're just making shit up. Like, I was roasting him all day about it. And just to be a dick, because it's a free league, I did the screen record. So I'm recording my screen, and I went to the app, and I deleted the app because I only use Yahoo for this free league. So I changed my team name to fuck this league, deleted the app, and I told them, I set my lineup with a bunch of guys on bye, and I said, fuck you guys. Good luck the rest of the season. I'm out. So I quit the league.
That's petty, and I like it. That's funny.
Yeah. But at the same time, I feel like that's a pretty fair trade. Like, I wasn't trying to rip anybody.
Honestly, I think it's a very fair trade. Yeah, what you're giving up, what you're getting in return equals out pretty well.
If you're looking at their current numbers of this season, that's pretty fair. Like, David Njoku, I think, has like 15 total points because he's missed a lot of time. And then Davante Adams has like 30 total points because he's missed a few weeks too. So it's not like I traded like the number one wide receiver and I'm offering him shit. It's like, here's a dude who hasn't done much because he hasn't been playing, going to a totally new team who knows if it's going to work out. And I'm offering you a team's number one running back and last year one of the best tight ends in football. And they're like, veto, that trade's bullshit. I'm like, well, all right, whatever. I fucking quit the league then. Like, this is stupid. You're vetoing my trade. So yeah, quit. That's pretty funny.
Now your team is going to this basically a free win for most people. You should have set your lineup with all your worst players. Well,
I set my lineup with guys that are on bye this week, but they're actually really good. Like, my team's like 5-2. It's pretty fucking loaded. Who do I have? I have Lamar Jackson. I have Kieran Williams. I have Nick Chubb. I have Ramondre Stevenson. Wide receivers, I have DJ Moore. I have CeeDee Lamb. Terry McLaurin. I have Travis Kelce as my tight end. I have Brandon Aubrey as my kicker. Like, my team's loaded. It's pretty fucking good. So I just set my lineup with all my best players, and I just told them all to go fuck themselves, and I deleted the app. So we'll see what happens.
I like it. I like it.
It was a fair trade.
I like it. Yeah, absolutely.
All right, really quick, we'll get into picks here. And Broncos, Saints, give me the Broncos. Better defense against a rookie quarterback who struggled. There's a lot of guys out for New Orleans. I think Denver gets the win on the road.
Yeah, give me the Broncos here too. I just hope Bo Nix puts together more. Twice I bet on Bo Nix, and twice he's only had like 10 yards in the first half. Fucking Christ! But
I could see that. Next up, as I said, jolly old England. You've got the New England Patriots. Luckily, they're starting Drake May, so it's kind of watchable. I would like to see Drake May play. I had high expectations for him. And then you get to see Doug Peterson's last game as the Jacksonville Jaguars head coach, because I forgot they had a back-to-back in England. Otherwise, there's no fucking doubt in my mind he was getting shit-canned after that game last Sunday. So I think with that being said, they're going to come out very uninspired, and the Patriots are going to find a way to get this W. I think the Jags are just a fucking horrible team that are just waiting for Doug Peterson to get canned.
I saw something that said the Patriots that he was getting an MRI, Drake May.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I don't know if he's hurt. My phone just died, but I don't know if he got hurt or something. But they said he went and got an MRI and something. I don't know what the injury is, but anyways, I still.
Well, truth be told, Jacoby Brissett, Drake May, it doesn't matter. The Jags are that fucking.
Yeah, I take the Patriots here too.
All right, next up, we've got the Seahawks and the Falcons. This should be an interesting game. The Falcons have kind of underachieved as of the Seahawks of late. Battle of the Birds. I have to imagine, I got to check the spread here. I have to imagine the spread's pretty close. And in those close games, I'll let Kyle go first here while I look up the spread, unless you want to wait for it too.
No, I think I'm 9 points behind. I think you should be picking first for all this stuff.
That's fair. All right, Falcons -3, which means they're the home team. It's basically a pick'em game. I will go with Atlanta because of that as well.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'll take the Seahawks then. This is the one. Not many games this week I can pick against you, but I think this is one of them I can roll the dice on at least.
Let me say this too. I just thought about it. I know we talked about it a couple of weeks ago, and then I completely kept forgetting, and I don't want to now because we're we'll doing the spread for an extra point. We'll do that not next week because there obviously won't be a show, but we'll do the week after. We'll start the spread. So week 9, we're going to start doing one spread pick a week to get an extra point. Doesn't hurt you if you don't get it, but if you get it, you get an extra point. So you're going with the Falcons as well?
No, I'm going with the Seahawks.
Oh, you're going with the Seahawks. Okay, they burned you last week. Let's see what they do for you this time.
Yeah, I know.
Bills and Titans. Does anybody want the Titans?
No, give me the Bills.
Does Amari Cooper score in his first game as a Bill?
Yes. Twice. With amazing catches over the shoulder.
More than likely, honestly. Appreciate that, George. You don't have to. We could do that on our own if you want, because we like to surprise pick which game. We like to kind of be like, and this is the one I'm taking the spread. So you don't have to. We could do it ourselves, but if you don't mind, it's totally up to you. I don't want to add more work to your load. But yes, we're gonna do some spreads. Just one game a week. We only pick one spread, so that's why you don't have to do all that homework. We each pick one game, and if we get it, we get an extra point. Texans and Packers. This should be a really fucking good game. This one's tough. The Packers are playing really well. The Texans obviously are playing really, really well. In Green Bay. Green Bay's given up a lot of points. Houston. Let me look at the spread on this one too. This one's a tough one, honestly.
I believe this one is.
Ooh, they have Green Bay as the favorite 2.5, so they think it's even closer.
Well, it's at home for them, so yeah.
Give me Houston.
Oh, fuck you. All right, give me Green Bay here, because I was back and forth on both of them, but yeah, give me the Packers.
That's a tight one. That's a 50-50 pick. Dolphins at Colts. Is Tua not back? He's still not back, right?
No. Well, no matter what, Tua will be back physically, but mentally Tua is gone. So
yeah, no, his brain is soup.
Indy's a favorite here, -3 because they're at home.
They're the favorite because they're home. Anthony Richardson did practice, so he is going to be starting over Joe Flacco, which is mind-boggling to me that they're going to bench a guy who's playing that well, similar to the Steelers, I should say. But I don't know. I think the Dolphins are just trash. I can't pick them in any game, even against Anthony Richardson, so I have to go with the Colts here.
Yeah, I got to take the Colts. Without Tua, I can't rightfully pick the Dolphins.
Yeah, so Richardson or Flacco, I'm taking the Colts. Doesn't matter who the quarterback is. If Tua comes back somehow, which is not happening, I would have taken the Dolphins there, but he's not, so got to skip that one. Lions and the Vikings. Ooh. This one is probably the second best matchup of the week. Interesting. This one's
a -2, so they're obviously thinking it's going to be extremely close because it's at home.
Detroit has the best offense in football. They're the highest scoring team in football. Minnesota against the Jets before they had their bye week last week. Their offense struggled mightily. However, the Lions did lose Aiden Hutchinson, which is a huge blow to their defense. The Vikings just traded for Cam Akers because they're expecting Aaron Jones to not play. I just think the Lions offense is going to be able to score a little bit more than the Vikings. I don't think the Vikings are going to have the firepower to keep up with the Lions offense. I think this could be a barn-burning game, high scoring. Give me the Lions.
Yeah, I'm going to take the Vikings. I think the Vikings defense is still really good. I think it's going to slow them down enough for them to keep them ahead in this game. Yeah, give me the Vikings here.
Okay. Eagles, Giants. I am going to go with the Eagles. Pretty straightforward.
Yeah, Eagles here too.
50.5 spread. Yeah, that's about right. I expect a pretty high scoring game. I could see 27-24 or something like that. Which doesn't seem like a lot, but in an NFL game, that's pretty high scoring. Rams and Raiders. Raiders are still sticking with AOC. They officially traded Devontae Adams. They didn't look very good against Pittsburgh last week. A lot of self-inflicted turnovers. The Rams are coming off a bye. Give me the Rams.
Yeah, I'll take the Rams here too. And I wouldn't be surprised if Crosby's not dealt sometime this week. I mean, I can't believe that the Lions aren't calling.
Mark Davis already came out and said that's not happening. He said,
no, damn.
He said Max Crosby's going nowhere. And truth be told, the Lions wouldn't be able to afford anybody like that. Everybody and their brother immediately said, oh, the Lions should call the Browns for Miles or they should call for Max Crosby. And it's like, there's no way they can afford it. They just paid Amon-Ra St. Brown. They just paid Jared Goff. They just paid Penei Sewell. They're going to have to pay all these other stud players that they have on their team because they are a loaded roster top to bottom. They're going to have to make some tough decisions. Their window is small. Aiden Hutchinson, for instance, in a couple of years, in 1 year, he'll be eligible for his max contract, which it looks like he's going to save him a little bit of money now, but is going to be eligible for a very, very lucrative contract. And I just don't think they can make it. A guy to look for would be Zadarius Smith, a guy like that, a veteran with a 1 year expiring contract. He would go to Detroit and fit in. Not saying him per se, but just somebody like that. So yeah, we'll both take the Rams there. I don't think they're going to make any type of blockbuster move. They just can't afford it. Washington at Carolina. I think everybody's taking Washington here pretty easily.
Yep.
Next up, Kansas City at San Francisco. Patrick Mahomes has to unfortunately beat up on his kids yet again because he is San Francisco's fucking daddy. I know George likes to hear that as a Niners fan. This should be an interesting game. The Chiefs are coming off a bye week. The Niners are playing decent, playing pretty good football. The Chiefs have been in a lot of games, but they've been close games. With that being said, because it's not a Super Bowl and the Chiefs aren't going to take it as seriously, give me the Niners.
Fuck, I thought for sure you were taking the Chiefs there. Fuck. Give me Kansas City. Why not? Let's do it. Let's just keep rolling the dice here.
All right, then we get to Sunday Night Football, and this is the game that I hope Bane is present for. We have the Jets and the Steelers. Sunday Night Football. Fuck. Russell Wilson starting.
The Jets away are the favorite, which is hilarious to me.
Which, I mean, that does make sense. I mean, they're... I don't know. This is tough. This is really tough. Fuck. It's truly like I might just take them. I might pass this one. Can I pass? Is that allowed?
Whoever you pick, I'm taking the other. So there you go. Make it easy.
Give me the Jets. I hate the Steelers. I hate the Jets. Don't get me wrong, but I really fucking obviously hate the Steelers way more. So I can't do it.
All right, guess lock me in for the fucking Steelers. Blech.
Traitor. All right, and then Monday Night Football. We have Baker taking on the Baltimore Ravens. Baltimore is playing really, really well. For me, this is easy. I'm taking the Ravens. I don't think the Tampa Bay Buccaneers are going to be able to keep up with them.
Yeah. Oh, man. Do I want to do it? Why not? Go big or go home. Give me Baker. They're 3.5-point underdogs.
There's too much games. They're doing the Chargers, and I thought those were bye weeks. I didn't even look. Okay, so there's another game, the Chargers and the Falcons.
They have 2 Mondays? Yeah, they do.
That game's ugly. Give me the Chargers, then. That's a pretty easy pick right there.
The Chargers there, too. Yeah, Dallas and Chicago are in bye weeks this week.
Oh, that's right. That's right. I didn't look at the bottom there. Okay, my bad. All right, and then that gets us to the last pick. I don't need to YOURE, George, next time. I'm a grammar Nazi. I'm sorry. The Bengals and the Browns. This one's going to be ugly. The Browns have no true number one wide receiver anymore. They have a banged up offensive line. The Bengals offense has been unstoppable lately. However, Joe Burrow struggles against the Browns. But on the flip side, Browns fans, apparently based on Twitter, I know that's a very small margin of who's going to be at the game. They are so hell-bent on booing. That's all they care about is booing Deshaun Watson. That's all they fucking talk about when I go on Twitter. There are people that cannot wait for Sunday to be the loudest booing game of all time. And there's a bunch of people in the comments that are like, man, you guys are fucking losers if that's what you're planning on doing. They're like, Nick Chubb's coming back from one of the most gruesome injuries of all time, and all you want to do is just boo Deshaun Watson. Like, that's going to make a difference. He's making all that money. He's here whether you like it or not. Like, I agree with those people.
Yeah.
But there are people that are like so hell-bent on just going to boo. They want the Browns to play poorly. This is the type of week where the Browns are going to come away with a win somehow.
Absolutely.
But
I'm not picking them now.
No fucking chance am I doing that either. Do I think they could come away with this win? Absolutely. Do I think they win? No fucking way. So
give me the Bengals.
Cincinnati in a pretty easy game based on what I've seen this year. I just have no reason to have any faith in the Browns. I don't even want to do a deep dive. My plane lands at 2 p.m., so the only thing I'm really pissed off about is I don't get to watch Nick Chubb get his first carry back. I'll be in the air. We land at 2 o'clock in the Dominican. By the time I get to the baggage claim, get on the shuttle, get to my resort, get checked in, the game will be well over. So this will be one of the first games in many, 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 many years that I'm not going to be able to watch at all.
Yeah.
I'm okay with that. I don't care. I have accepted that this season is a wash. I'll still watch every week when the season's going on, but I've accepted that there's no real investment into this season. So fuck it. That's it. That's it for picks. That's devastating and disappointing to have to say the Browns. Just again, I have no reason to ever pick that team again, and I nor will I. That gets us to everybody's favorite segment, Just the Tip. George, take it away, my medicated friend. As always, Kyle's going to start off this week for Just the Tip. I didn't actually see if you sent George something unless you sent it privately.
No, I sent it in the same message you sent yours.
You did?
I did. My tip is a show I just started watching a week ago. I binged season 1 of it, and the reason why I got into it is because I started seeing a lot of clips of the show on TikTok, and I was like, this show actually looks pretty fucking good, right up my alley. It's a court, he's a lawyer. Billy Bob Thornton, first off, great actor, let's be honest, right? Really doesn't make any bad movies, but he basically plays himself in a show where he's a lawyer, top law firm. He helped create this huge law firm, and basically it fell off the wagon, became a drunk, and now he's living in a hotel room and everything, and doing side work. But he gets back into the swing of things when he takes on his old law firm. This is season 1. And it's dude, from the start, great fucking show. Well written. I love that, it's witty. It makes you think. And like when he argues with people in court, like it's that like, I'm fucking smarter than you, even though I don't look like it type thing. But I just started season. What's that?
What app is it on?
It's on Amazon Prime. There's only 4 seasons. It actually well rated all throughout 4 seasons, so like it didn't drop off. And I read an article where it says like he stopped it after 4 seasons because like there's really nothing else to do with it, and it was such a good show. They didn't want to keep dragging it out and have it like.
This show's been out for 4 seasons.
4 years now. Yeah,
I can't believe I've never heard of it. Okay.
Yeah. I think you'd like it. I think it'd be up your alley. I think you'd like it. It's one of those like thinky, witty type things. So
the way you described it just made me wish they would have called it Bad Lawyer because of Bad Santa. He's a drunk lawyer. Should have just Bad Lawyer.
He's got all his typical tattoos and everything, and the way he talks in the show like makes you think, just fucking throw a Santa hat on, man, and go for it. Go bang a chick.
I would have loved if they just called it Bad Lawyer. That would have been perfect.
But no, it's a really good show. Season 2 just started. I just started season 2 tonight. I watched the first episode before we got on. And it already looks like it's gonna be a pretty good season again. So yeah, I recommend it. If you haven't watched it, give it a watch or put it on your list of stuff to watch.
Hell yeah. And the Dodgers are up 2-0. I love to see that. Yeah, no, I'll definitely check that out. I've never heard of it. I love Billy Bob Thornton, so that sounds like something right up my alley. Definitely check that out. My tip for the week is a book from Grady Hendrix called Horror Store. And it looks that way because it is basically meant to be the horror version of IKEA. So this person's at work and it's really, really hard to explain without spoiling anything. Basically, the store is haunted. The store was built on top of a burial site or something like that. Or I'm sorry, not a burial site. It was a prison many, many years ago where the inmates were basically tortured and they were experimented on. So one night, everyone's working. They're working overnights because there's some weird shit happening in the store. And the owner was like, hey, I need you guys to stay overnight so we can track and see if there's an animal getting in, if there's a person getting in, whatever, we need to see what's going on. And they stay overnight and it ends up being turns into like another dimension because it's like haunted. Interesting book. I will say I didn't love it. I think I gave it like 3 out of 5 or maybe 4 out of 5 at best. There were a couple parts that irritated me, and that's only because I read back-to-back Grady Hendrix books. And in both books, he really, really used rats in multiple times, like mice, vermin, whatever. Mm-hmm. And I was like, okay, I read 2 of this guy's books and they both had these big scenes with rats or something. And I was like, I'm getting a vibe of like, does he just do this in every fucking book? Could you be a little more original? So that irritated me. And overall, I thought the concept could have been a little bit better. Like I thought it was like a haunted store, if you will. But again, it turns out that it's like these prisoners from 100 years ago that are the ones that are creeping up and doing shit. And it's like, I thought it was going to be a little different. It wasn't exactly what I was hoping for.
Hmm.
Overall, though, it was an interesting read. It kept me interested, and it was cool that they were, again, basically it's an IKEA, so they're explaining everything the way. And I've been to IKEA a million times, so they're talking about how it's like a maze in there. It's huge. There's multiple floors. They described it to a T. It was interesting. It was cool. It was a different concept. Overall, though, could have been better, but it is what it is. I enjoyed it. It's a fun read. It is October. My second tip, which isn't a real one technically because there's not a specific movie, watch some horror movies. We're in October. Go out there and watch some horror.
I was going to tell you, we watched Terrifier last week when I texted you what to choose. We watched it. I absolutely fucking love that movie. And now we're going to watch Terrifier 2 tomorrow night. But he might be one of my favorite characters, horror characters.
So I will say Terrifier 2 is a very different movie.
Sure.
You get awesome kills, but it goes way out in left field, which I love. They did not try to replicate the first movie. They said, fuck it, let's go different. And then I cannot wait to see Terrifier 3. Hopefully when I get back from Punta Cana, it'll be available somewhere. But yeah, watch. I literally, truth be told, I watched Terrifier 2 over the weekend just because I was like, I haven't watched it in a couple of years. I want to watch it again. So I just
we're pumped to watch it. I saw some of the backstory. Like I see that they try to give him like a super whatever type backstory, whatever. Like a supernatural type backstory now, obviously, because he comes back to life clearly from season 1. I'm pumped for Terrifier 3 only because I'm a huge Christmas fan.
And this one's all Christmas themed.
I can't wait to see the Christmas theme, what he does. But I just like him as a character, like just nonchalant. Like in the first Terrifier, when he gets stabbed or something, like he goes to scream, but he doesn't make noise, which is the perfect thing ever.
Same thing in the second one. Doesn't make a noise. He just does his like fake little like laugh at everybody and like that's all that shit. It's so good. No, Art the Clown's awesome. He's such a good character. Again, if you really want to, check out. There's another movie that should be available on like one of the free apps. It's called All Hallows Eve.
I saw something like that. Someone was comparing to two of the movies or something.
So that's where Art the Clown was originated from. That movie is basically like. Have you ever seen the movie Trick or Treat?
No.
So that's a really good movie. If you ever get a chance, watch that. So that's like it's a movie where there's like 5 different stories and they all intertwine at the end. But it's horror. A really good movie. So if you get a chance to see it. Okay. Trick or Treat's one of our favorite movies, Tara and I. That's the one I got the my newer tattoo is the lollipop from Trick or Treat.
Nice.
So check that one out. But All Hallows Eve is similar to that. It's like different stories in one movie, and one of them is about Art the Clown. He's actually on the cover of it, but it's called All Hallows Eve because he wasn't popular back then. So if you get bored, check that one out. They really have nothing to do with the other movies, but it's just cool to see Art the Clown in another aspect. But yeah, watch some horror movies. It's October. By the time we do our next show, I think it'll be November, I think.
Yeah.
Binged all the Screams. Scream's good. I hated the.
It takes a dip in the middle, but the newer ones are okay.
So I keep seeing people that are posting and they say that number 4 is extremely underrated, and I want to go back and rewatch it. I've seen them all, obviously, a million times. I didn't like. Oh no, I take it back. We will have another episode in October. It'll be the 30th. Okay, cool. I didn't look at the calendar. So all right, well then we'll talk more about Halloween and shit like that in 2 weeks. And for the time being, thank you everybody for watching. Kyle, are you good?
Good, man. Have a good night.
So now George fucks up the other way. No E on that one, buddy.
Get him off the show, man. He's going to start throwing.
Our producer's a druggie now. He's a junkie. He can't keep up with his yours. But yeah, I'm going to go to Punta Cana. I'm going to enjoy some cocktails on the beach, and then I'm going to come back and we're going to have a good show for everybody. And speaking of Punta Cana and eating food from South America, Tara just went and picked up Mexican food that I can't wait to go smash here in a second. So we will talk to everybody in 2 weeks. Stay safe. Go Browns. Go Guardians. Go. What the fuck are the Cavs? Their season's going to start, and we will talk to you guys very, very soon. Thank you all for watching. We'll see you in 2 weeks. Cleveland, that was for you.